Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the home of European technology. It is
go.
the European Technology Network. It's the show you watch at work. Crowd has already gone wild. The day is Tuesday, 4th of November. The time is 11:06, and Luke and I are incredibly excited.
1 minute late. What the hell?
We're 1 minute late,
European
but
fashion.
we have good reason for that, and I think we should. We can't just go straight into it. Let's tell the people at home a little bit about what we've got going on today. Do you want to maybe talk about the beautiful guests, special guest announcement as well? We don't have 5, we have 6 today. First time. First time ever.
6 minutes late, 6 guests.
6 minutes late,
Let's
6
go.
guests, 6 drinks on the table, as well as that.
Here is the order of play today. We have Dimi Nicolau, founder of Wondercraft, the AI studio for brands and creative teams. 2 months ago, Dimi mentioned that they'd hit 2 million ARR. Pretty sure they haven't raised. I think they're bootstrapped.
I was on, got that information from Specter, actually.
You were on Specter. They said that they were bootstrapped.
Do you know how I pulled that in on Specter? Specter will pull in LinkedIn mentions, and that was a post on LinkedIn they made.
Dude, they're like crushing it right now. We have a bit of news about Specter as well. We'll go through that.
Specter.
Then we have Max Buchan. I think it's Buchan. He's the founder and CEO of Valerian. Their tagline is engineered for enterprise, hardened for the front lines. They just raised 20 million. Well, they've raised 20 million overall,
today, yep.
And seed stage. It's gonna be a good chat.
Can I just say, our guest announcement for his photo was one of the hardest guest announcements we've done.
It was very
I just had to drop some. I had to tell him a comment, and I was like, dude, this is.
So
the hardest drop. It's the hardest drop we've had so far.
Very cool, very cool. And then we have the man without borders, Alex Racuso, co-founder and CEO of CitizenX. He's building the only secure and private platform to acquire citizenship in countries, welcoming investors and entrepreneurs. He's just an all-round sick bloke. I think lives in Switzerland. Yeah. And seems like CitizenX is killing it. So it's going to be good to dive deep into what he is building. Very unique product, which is going to be good. We've just announced, and Ollie has just announced as well, Oliver Kicks. He's just been promoted from partner to GP at Concept Ventures. Yep. Slow clap for Oliver Kicks. He's going to join us to share kind of more about concepts and how they're going to be deploying their new Fund 2, $88 million, one of, if not the largest European pre-seed funds right now in the world, I guess. Yeah. I'll jump back in with the special guest. Guest number 5 or number 6, like actual guest, is Dimitrios Kotas. He's the founder and CEO of DeLion Alliance Industries. The mission is to protect the West and its allies in the era of autonomous welfare.
Warfare.
Warfare. Hell yeah. Very cool.
Warfare.
Well, they're creating welfare by...
No, they are. I feel safe already, just having him on the show.
I feel pretty safe, yeah.
I feel safe too.
And then 10 minutes. Do you want to jump in with the 10 minutes?
Yeah, this is just a special 10-minute call in from the CEO and co-founder of Zero Hash, Edward Woodford. They recently managed to get Zero Hash Europe authorized under, I think I'm pronouncing this right, MiCAR. It's MiCAR, MiCAR. And it's the EU's continent-wide framework for crypto and stablecoins. He's going to be breaking that down live for us on the show. It's just a 10-minute quick call in to let us know what's going on over on his end.
Our first 10-minute caller, which is cool.
Yeah, like just a cute one, just a cute little, hey, we got this going
Max
on.
Max guests have hit number 6 at ETN. I reckon we'll get it to like 10, 15 in the next few months.
This is news to me.
We're just going to be like chopping and changing guests all the time.
Moving on. So Dimi, who's coming on, this is quite cool. So we have the merch. You want to hold that up for the gang? This was actually Ubered to us. It arrived minutes ago.
You know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like the Anthropic. What was
so this is like the new vibe. Yeah. This is
what's the slogan?
Theirs was thinking.
Thinking with a full stop. And this is vibe creation full stop.
But that's a good quality cap. That's like a nice.
Yeah.
They've splashed a bit of cash. And then also this lovely
branding.
Oh, I've just seen. Look at this.
Oh.
Look at this. I didn't even see that.
Oh my god.
Look at that.
God, that is good.
Look at that there. Dude, that's... You recognise that?
I do recognise that.
More to come on that, but look at that.
Stay tuned for the launch of our website because it features something on the back of this.
Let's save something for the imagination.
I'm just saying stay tuned, yeah?
Say hello to Vibe Creation. It's Wondercraft. Wow, look at that.
Very nice.
Just beautiful merch.
This
was Ubered over this morning. There were rumours that we wouldn't receive it because obviously we're going live at, we'll be slightly later today. Usually we're live at 11. We did actually clearly receive the merch. So shout out to Wondercraft. They're doing God's work over there. Dimmy's going to come on and break down what is going on with them.
You go through the news. I'm just going to do a bit of
Well, we've got some more stuff to call out just from a few things that people are sending in, and this is a really fun one. This is from a long-time friend of the stream, one of our early followers, Uzair Saeed. He is a founder of Nexad. It's an AI co-pilot for CAD design, for CAD design. He sent us in this lovely, hold on, Spaceman that we have here. Voila, little spaceman. And
just give me a hot sec. I'm just.
it's quite heavy.
Rearranging.
Are you doing some spring cleaning there? Well, let's get this on top of.
Yeah. Whoa.
Maybe we could put this up there. God, we're running out of.
We're running out of space.
We're hiding the Boulderton plate there. I'll leave this here for you to sort. I don't want to announce the next one until you're ready to announce the next one, just because it's a really good one.
Yeah. Well, just give me a hot sec.
But I'll let you guys know what we've been up to. We've just been running around this past week, trying to make some trade deals as they come in, and it's been a productive week. Things are really ticking up for us over here at ETN. We've got a few cool announcements to make in the coming weeks, just regarding some more events that we'll be live streaming at. Obviously, you'll be seeing us there at Slush. For Slush, by the way, please reach out if you do want to get an exclusive interview. Our booking schedule is starting to get full. We will be live streaming from 10 a.m. local time in Helsinki till 4 p.m. So it'll be our longest stream ever, and that is taking place on the 19th of November.
We're podcasting hard over at ETN.
No, we're a broadcast channel.
We're broadcasting hard.
We're broadcasting hard. 19th Wednesday at Slush Live. We would love to have some more guests on. We'll be doing 20-minute interviews from 10 till 4. That is 6 hours. That is a full school day.
Look at that.
Can we just get this up here as well? I said that we'd put the business card up there for our friend, and that looks absolutely stunning. Look at that. Moving swiftly on, our last thing of the day. We're going to do it at the same time, I think. Okay, yeah,
3, 2, 1. Boo!
You're probably wondering, look, I knew the ETN boys were popping off, but I didn't think that they'd each have their own McLaren this early in.
This is what our investor money is being spent on.
Yeah, shout out to the haters. No, we were given these. Shout out to Airwallex for sending in these absolutely beautiful McLaren Formula One team Lego
in the
sets.
kind of Airwallex orange as well. Obviously McLaren is orange too, but it works very,
very
well.
Airwallex are the lead sponsor, well, one of the lead sponsors for McLaren. There you can see them on the wing of the car that they have. We just want to give a massive shout out to the Airwallex team. They're doing God's work. They recently surpassed $1 billion in revenue. We'll be interviewing one of their CEOs at Slush. So look at that bad boy.
Boom.
Luke was telling me yesterday when we picked these up at 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. yesterday.
We'll be building. They're being built currently, and they'll be built by next week.
Well, you promised that you'd have yours ready for today. I told
know.
you that's ridiculous. You wouldn't be able to build it. It'll take 5 hours. You said, bro, come on.
Maybe I can do it. Maybe I can do it tonight, tomorrow. You know, we've got a bit of time.
For this guy.
I think it's doable. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the news. So, Eth Robotics spin-out Mimic has raised 16 million seed, led by Elia and Speed Invest. You absolutely love to see it. This is like the robotics hub of Europe, is what I keep hearing.
Yeah. You know who had a good take on this? He's coming on as a guest. We will announce him, but I'm going to announce him now as well. Lucas Ziegler. He is a robotics evangelist. He's launching some product called Robot Guild, which is quite interesting. But he had a good take. Shall I read his post out?
Well, I was going to read like the article first, and then maybe
read the article.
For some context. So the company is running pilot programs with customers in manufacturing, automotive, logistics, and retail. Zurich-based Mimic Robots has raised 16 million seed round led by Elia and Speed Invest, with participation from Founderful, First Kind, 10x Founders, and I'm going to guess this is sort of pronounced like 2,100 or 21, I don't know, it's just
2,100.
Yeah, and Sequoia Scouts. Funding for European robotics startups is booming, with overall investment this year set to eclipse the 761 million euros raised across the sector in 2024, according to Sifted data. This is a Sifted article by Tom Nugent. Swiss startup Mimic has spun out of the Zurich in 2024 and is making humanoid robotic hands, which will be used for a variety of tasks across manufacturing and logistics. It's also developing a general purpose AI model for robotics. Seeing a lot more of these bad boys popping up, you know? Seeing a lot more of these bad boys popping up.
Yeah.
I'm all here for it. You know, I'm praying for I want to get one of the Neo.
We need to get, so there was a bit of like chat on X. What's going to like be the next thing? Is it going to be humanoid robots like a Neo, or will it be more specialized robotics, like an arm or like whatever? So it's like, you know, it's dexterity is probably the biggest thing that these companies are working on. Obviously, kind of moving an arm is not too difficult in terms of, you know, robotics speak, but the dexterity of fingers and making sure that, you know, it can handle all these random stuff that it's going to handle. And so is a humanoid going to be the thing that's like going to like win, or is it going to be like whatever? But I mean, there are different markets, I guess. Like consumers are more humanoids, but would you ever have like a specific like hand washing
maybe
machine?
like by the sink?
Yeah, by the sink, like you just clip it on, or like you just like leave it next to your sink and then...
Because there was that one for who was that company that recently released that one? It was in your bedroom, and it looked like a large pole, and it was like a claw hand, and it would like, I mean, I don't know, what would it just like make the bed? Or
make the bed.
I watched the launch video. I saw the memes that came after it. The memes are always a great watch.
Is it just going to be hands, or is it going to be like full humanoids? I feel like obviously hands is going to be easier to like, because obviously like a full humanoid still needs dexterity.
No, hell yeah. This is what Eric Landau at Encord was saying when we interviewed him ages ago on the old show. Like, by the way, I remember when we were booking him in, and like everyone we spoke to in order to research for the guest was like, he's one of the smartest people. He was like, he is the smartest person I know. And yeah, we experienced that live with him when we were chatting to him. But he was saying, I remember, like, you know, this sort of the physical moment for AI hasn't happened yet. This was a few months back now. Obviously, it's starting to look like things are changing a little bit more with all these sort of robotics coming out. But like these types of robotics companies have probably already been there, like previously. It's just now that like either one, they're ready to be commercialized, they're past training, or two, that like companies are clocking on to like this launch video-esque thing, right? Like, you know, there could be like a robotics company there that, I mean, their robotic is incredible. Their robot is incredibly capable. They just haven't sort of lent into this like Twitter virality like marketing. Like when you look at Neo's 1X, like 1X's Neo robot, like their launch video was beautiful. It was just simply beautifully done. It was like something out of like a high production.
It was the Bill Withers. What was that song?
Oh, the tune.
Ain't No Sunshine.
Yeah, they had no right fucking banging that thing so hard.
Dude, that was like, that went crazy. That was so good.
That was good.
And it's, I mean, it's, you know, like in terms of consumers and I think it's a great play, right? I mean, obviously there were skeptics in the fact that like you're ordering one, you don't get it till like 2026, you might not even get it. It's the kind of same thing as like the Cybertruck stuff, which we'll get into today with Sama.
Should we segue to that? Let's segue to that.
Wait. Well, just a quick segue to C-Point, your startup's financial home. Get back control of your finances with C-Point, a business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting. Go to cpoint.co to go and do all stuff finance related. But back onto the news. So basically, it's like, what's going to create value faster, right? Is it going to be a little humanoid guy, like, or girl, like, walking about your house, like doing your thing, and like, you know, folding clothes, doing whatever, which is very hard to like make actually valuable. Like if you just pay a cleaner, just pay a cleaner. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, to be fair, if you want the job done, but it's probably more...
Like it's cheaper to just pay a cleaner.
It's more orientated, I think, around, initially anyway, as is for most of these launches, I guess.
Yeah.
Like one price tag is like, it's actually surprisingly low for what it is.
I mean, it's low, but like $20,000 for a cleaner, like you're not going to pay $20K for a cleaner. Do you know what I mean?
Forever.
Yeah. Well, okay, fine, yeah.
I mean, cleans per day, like,
Yeah.
infinite cleans.
Yeah, but like you're not going to get infinite cleans because like
strap it
obviously
out
it has a
over
half-life.
lifetime.
Like it's tech, isn't it? Like,
But it's not going to, like, die.
does it die?
It's not that humanoid, like, you don't have
Does
to
it
care
die?
for it.
Does
like,
it die?
I don't think it like, can succumb to natural illness. Or
Dude, I
anything.
think it might die.
Imagine that if you come home one day and you're like, Neo, like, what, the clothes aren't done. And he's like, mate, I've got the worst fever. Like, I'm just going to lay in bed for a bit. Like, can you make me a tea?
Yeah.
You'd probably be like, kind of want a refund on this thing. Like,
Obviously you would.
Probably would be, that would be a bit surprising.
Well, just quickly before we jump into more about Samo and Musk, want to touch on Lucas Eigler. Basically, he said like why it matters for like Mimic, right? Mm-hmm. And just the general space. He was like, Europe is stepping up into the AI robotics race. By making dexterity scalable, Mimic bridges the gap between lab breakthroughs and real factory deployment, where automation still meets its hardest challenges. The CEO, Stefan Wirich, he put it, we make dexterity deployable at scale, closing the gap between what AI can do in the lab and what factories actually need. It's an interesting one. It's cool.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see some homegrown guys taking a swing at this.
Yeah. It's just a question, but is it humanoids? Is it going to be just an arm? Like, who knows? But we're here for it. We're going to see.
Hopefully we can maybe get a little demo of such.
Yes.
Okay, Bending Spoons is up next. This is from 30th of October, but Bending Spoons has raised 270 million at 11 billion valuation. The announcement comes a day on from the company raising $2.8 billion in debt financing. So these guys are on an absolute tear. And I saw a tweet, I'm not sure if it was on the notes actually, but the tweet was like, these guys went from like acquiring like $10,000 like domain names or something in the past, and now they're doing like $1 billion acquisitions. Like
they moved the company back to Italy and began investing $10,000 in their first acquisition, like a simple like iOS app for keyboard personalization.
Yeah.
Now they're investing like billions of dollar or hundreds of millions.
Can we pull this up?
In acquisitions?
Actually, is that possible?
Every single month, like the growth is genuinely mental. And I wrote a tweet actually. I tagged Luca. I want him on the show. He's co-founder and CEO to join for 20 minutes because like it's a serious like operator machine, an unbelievable business that probably doesn't get as much like hype as it kind of should. Like they buy proven products and then wire them into a shared like growth like operating system.
I'd love to get the founder on, but I'd love to know more about the business model, right? Like, is this what Paddy was chatting about? Is this hey, let's buy this company, let's AI it, let's just like AI the whole thing?
Yeah.
I don't know, cut staff in half, to find out ways where we can increase. Like, is it the PE?
But what he was saying was like, it's still super hot. Like the privatization of like venture capital in terms of like this stuff, because what they do is like they're operating in this VC world, but they're like adding a private equity kind of like method and strategy to it.
Flair to it.
Where they're making things cheaper to produce or whatever. They're basically making the business more scalable and therefore more profitable. And like that is super hard to do. Like you can't it's not like, oh, I can just go and buy a company and like AI the hell out of it. Like
obviously there is like,
and that's what Paddy was saying. Like there is this shift happening, but give credit where credit is due when people are doing it right.
Yeah.
It's super.
Yeah, no,
super clever, and good on them. Thanks to Guillaume for mentioning that. They've acquired AOL recently in a $1.4 billion. Well, I think it's in like talks. I don't know if they've done it yet, but
I think that's done.
Acquired Vimeo, $1.4 billion. Komoot this year as well.
It's all done.
It's insane. Like 2024, 6 acquisitions. Probably all in the like $200 to $300 million mark, which is like crazy. WeTransfer has to be a bit more than that, But
That was time ago, I think, the WeTransfer. When was that?
2024.
What? That was so much more recent than I thought it was. I remember it when I was at Pigment, and I was like, trying to sell some pigment to them.
So shout out to Luca. Please come on. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'd love
we
to
can have a
have
chat
you.
with you.
Sorry,
Italian,
is
based in Milan.
this second in Ferrari?
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. Something like that. Luca Ferrari, yeah.
His second name is actually Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's related to the Ferrari family?
I mean, if it is, that just adds like a whole other beautiful layer to.
Maybe that's why
Ending's
they're all
story.
so calm with him just buying the businesses.
Dude, if he was related to Ferrari, that would just be an unbelievable story.
So
right
who wants to buy it? Mr. Ferrari does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, that is.
I mean,
Can't say no to Mr. Ferrari, can I?
when I'm at the pub, I can just like say, yeah, so like the Ferrari family bought my business. Like,
That'd be pretty
for like 200 mil.
Yeah, that'd be
Or
pretty
like
sick.
$1 billion. Because some of these acquisitions
Some of
are
these
a
are-
billion. So
We're talking B's, not M's. But,
Insane.
Very cool. More closer to home, Monzo CEO steps down. Thank you for your service.
Mr.
5
Anil
years.
has stepped down after 5 years of being CEO. He spanned the company round in a generational fashion. I've got a bit of stuff here. Basically, Sira's generational run. He took over in 2022 during a rocky period. They did a down round at 1.2 billion with going concerns of like warnings and stuff. And he steered Monzo to a first full year of profitability. Insane. They tripled users from 4 million to, I think, now 13 million. I think there's a little bit more than that I read now. And then brought in investors like Capital G, Hedosofia and GIC, like generational run. Like congrats, Daniel.
Yeah. And that's, I think,
he
can we
deserves
pull
some
this
time
article up? Is that, yeah? Oh, it's nice, it's up, awesome. Yeah, I like, insane work. And I remember, like, someone telling me ages ago, like, I can't remember what, it was something to do with, like, the Albanian mafia and stuff with Monzo, like, I can't remember when it was. It must have been, like, years and years and years ago. I'm trying to remember the story, but like at some point, like I think it was like an employee or something was like getting followed, and the business like helped them out loads. Like they were like super cautious of it, but they was getting like followed by the Albanian mafia. Absolutely nuts.
That is jokes.
Yeah, I know. I'm just looking at the rest of this article here. So in a statement issued to Bloomberg, Anil said, "It's always been my belief that great leaders make way for others. It's something that's been done before at Monzo, and when the baton was handed to me. And it's why the business will continue to grow from strength to strength under Diana's leadership." Behind the scenes, Monzo is said to be gearing up for a blockbuster IPO, which could value the company at as much as $6 billion, although some industry experts have questioned that price tag. Interesting to see. I'm not sure if we've had like comments
There's
on
also
whether
chat that's going to hit 10 billion an IPO.
there was chat around.
Around that it could be a $10 billion float price.
Oh wow, interesting.
Which would be cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I mean, like, are we expecting them to do it in the UK?
Hitting those, what is that, 10 figures, 11 figures?
Yeah, it's a lot of figures.
It's quite a lot of
Are
figures.
we expecting them to do it in the UK? Like, if we had people speak about like,
I don't know, we'll have to
do it
see.
in the UK because we're getting a lot of like.
Well, I mean,
we are definitely
Monzo's
not
business,
in the
I
UK.
don't think they're in the US, are they?
No, I think they started in the US actually, but they're headquartered in the UK.
Well, a lot of fintechs, like they're mostly like European and maybe kind of, I guess, LATAM.
Moving swiftly on, I think we have our first guest in the Riverside room. Do we have Dimmy in the place? Dimmy, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys. How's it going?
Yeah.
Amazing.
let's
We
go.
can hear you. You are
Let's just-
live on the European Technology Network. Dimmy, how's your day going,
What's up,
man?
guys?
How's your day going?
Day going great. Just wanted to start by congratulating you guys for just doing it. You know, I love the vibe. I love the European push, and I wish you guys best of luck in this new beginning.
You are too kind. You are too kind, my friend. It's not much, but it's honest work. What me and Luke do here in our studio. Moving on to you though, we have our merch. Thank you. It's hung up here, beautiful.
Dude, we
You've
didn't
got
realise
nice-
the back of it was so cool.
We decided to flip it backwards, so you know it's got
That's better.
a front and center stage here, and we've got the cap up there. just sitting above the Panathenia merch. And
we love the
Stripe
old school
t-shirt.
Mac as well. It looks great.
Oh, who did you speak from the Panathenia guys?
Oh, we are chatting. I mean, we can probably just say it.
Yeah,
live
we
on
can
air
say
now, right? We've been chatting to Lars over at Panathenia. Obviously, as you probably know, ex-founder of Google Maps. We have an announcement to make very soon around that. But that's as much as I can say for now. But we met Lars for coffee. He's an amazing guy. We're sharing the amazing work they were doing at Panathenia.
Do you know Lars?
Yeah, I actually went last year. It was pretty cool. Had a talk there, and then we're already planning a few things around Wanda and AI creative storytelling as part of that, as part of this year's Panathenia.
No way.
That's so cool. You'll be on the ground.
Most likely, yes. I am also from Greece, by the way.
We saw our lineup today is I think it's Greek dominated actually.
Oh, who else?
We've got Dimitrios Kotas doing Lion Alliance Industries.
The Lion.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So he's coming on. He's going to be closing out the show later actually.
Okay.
But
starting with Dimitrios, ending with Dimitrios.
Yeah. It's a double dimmy today. Anyway, less on us, more on you. What is new in your world?
A few different things. So, have been pushing Wondercraft. For anyone that doesn't know, we started with Wondercraft about 2 years ago. And the focus has been to make content creation more accessible, starting from the audio side. So we basically built an application that makes it very easy to create audio content, whether that's a podcast, an ad, a meditation, an audiobook, by leveraging AI voices and as such making it easier. And that's what we've been doing over the past. We launched 18 months ago. It's been fun being in this space, and a few big players have been creating on Wondercraft. And over the past 6 months, started recognizing that there's a lot of demand for making content creation a lot more accessible on the video side as well. So decided to evolve the product. And in thinking about what's cool, what's happening in the video space, there is a few different platforms that have pushed on AI-generated assets. So just having access to all of the different models, for example, being a wrapper on different models. So we didn't want to just stay there, having access to all of the models. We do have that capability. You will find all of the models, but taking this one step further, our goal is to make content creation and video storytelling a lot easier. So what we built was and we're releasing soon in about a month's time, what we call Wanda, which is the first agent for video creation. And to visualize it, it's very similar to Lovable, where you land in a single prompt interface, and then you can request what type of video you have in mind, whether it's like a 30-second ad or an explainer video, a product demo, wherever it may be. And Wanda will help you in doing that, in creating that video, whether it's like cropping the right moments from your footage or generating assets for you. And then the important thing is like layering things together, starting from the videos, then adding maybe it's music, adding voiceovers, adding text. So Wanda is that like creative assistant that will help you go from an idea of video to the final production quite fast.
Nice. I mean, that's a beautiful roundup. So you mentioned that you guys launched 18 months ago.
Right.
So I'm not sure if you remember this. You probably won't, because like if I was when I did this at Convergence, it was we just messaged a load of people. But on on March 4th, 2024, which was the day that you guys launched on Product Hunt, we actually had a very brief interchange on LinkedIn that I only remembered and I realized it was you when I was researching for the show. But you just launched. You just launched on Product Hunt.
I didn't. Appreciate that we've connected in the past, Ronan.
I didn't realize until we were doing research for the show. But yeah, I'm just seeing it. I'm looking at the message now. It's amazing. So yeah, congrats on like everything that's come after that, dude, because that's awesome.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been fun building in the audio space. Generally, like we always perceive it that we wanna grow further, and we thought that this is now the time. There's a lot of things going on, as you are well aware, in the leveraging AI for video, whether that is AI generated assets or leveraging AI to help you in the video storytelling, which is more how we're approaching it. And just so where we're at with the product is it's running on a private beta right now. There's about 300 to 500 users that have access. We've kind of like privately onboarded everyone right now just to make sure we understand who they are, what they're doing, and just to get the most out of the platform. And yeah, very excited to be seeing some really cool videos. We're actually started sharing the first videos that have been created today. And yeah, in about a month's time or so, we will be launching Wanda to the public.
Damn,
that's super cool. And who are the private beta users? Are they like advertisers? Are they like what are they creating, or are they just general like storytellers? I guess who own YouTube channels and stuff.
They're more on the SMB side. So whether they're small teams and marketers and small teams, or there's kind of like two groups. That's one group. The other one is on the creative side. So as an example, Spotify has been a customer of ours for the audio side, and now they've started using Wondercraft to create some ads for their video platform. So it's those two like bigger groups, SMBs creating some promotional videos for their stuff. And then on the creative side, like again, creating ads, quick ads from creative networks, doing that. There's also like another group that we've seen growing, which is educators. So creating, a lot of our existing users have been creating podcasts. A lot of them have been for the educational use case. And we've seen now that a lot of them are actually extending from the audio side to be creating video storytelling to make their content that they're teaching to students a little bit more engaging.
Yeah, that's interesting. This is the first time that I saw this use case, but it was our friends at Sanctuary Health, Jack and James. They were using, and it's in the same realm as this, but it's when the Ghibli stuff came out in GPT, right. And they were using like the Ghibli, they were Ghiblifying. I guess is that a fair adjective now to use?
You just coined that term.
They were Ghiblifying, sort of enablement videos / graphics around helping young children understand certain health risks associated with like XYZ, whatever it is. And traditionally looking at an image, you'd be like, oh, like this is kind of a boring image, but like because they were able to Ghiblify it, as a child might be looking at that, it makes it a little bit more able to sort of understand and it's quite friendly on the eyes. So that enablement piece that you mentioned, like that's a whole world that I just had no idea existed until I saw that, and that's obviously like a less advanced version of what you're mentioning.
For sure, and think about the Ghiblifying moment, for example. Think about you can ask Wanda to go down that path by stitching images together and then having voiceovers and music on top of that, and that becomes a lot more engaging than just reading from a book. So that's one, and then think about it from inside a company perspective. Like there's such a big space in sales enablement, or onboarding new employees, and having videos around that is definitely something that's also quite big, and a space that we're seeing Wondercraft can grow in.
So I want to ask like the general stuff about kind of like the AI slop and like the launch of Sora and all of those kind of big plays in this kind of world, right? Where what's your focus in terms of making sure people are not necessarily like it's like a human crafts thing, right? And making sure that are you catering to just kind of quick kind of edit type thing, or are you wanting to create like proper like storytelling, very human craft? Like what's your kind of take on that kind of world? And like people are saying like the Delta is this human craft kind of vibe. So what's your kind of take on that?
No, it's exactly as you mentioned, Luke. So the Delta is the when it's so easy to create content, what becomes most important thing is being able to have the story behind the content. And that's where we're focusing on right now. And the way that we're doing that is by teaching Wanda, our AI agent, what a good story is, so that while you're chatting with Wanda to get a good production out, Wanda will always keep suggesting to you ways that the story can become really good. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if you just want to create slop, you can do so in like 10 seconds. You can go to Google Lab, to the Google Studio, or like any video platform, and create something very fast, whether it's Veo or Sora. Create like a 10-second like memery style video. For Wondercraft, it's a little bit different by enabling you to add all of the different layers, music, and and voiceovers and videos and images and sounds, that's where it becomes a little bit more tricky. And the intent here is that we help you in expressing your story rather than further going down the funnel of slop.
Yeah, have you had any like contact with anyone in Hollywood or like actual film production to like be writing scripts and stuff?
Well, that'd be cool.
Film production, not so much. That's very cool. But Wanda excels right now at shorter videos. So I would say in the sub 10-minute group, particularly in the 60-second, in fact, I would say. So more in the ad space. To which end we haven't had too much contact with the Hollywood side. But there's no doubt in my mind that there will be quite engaging AI-generated films in the future. And that's a good thing. It just enables a bigger group to be creating, to be sharing their story that until now they've been restricted. And let's see how the market reacts to it. But I don't see it as like a net. I see it as a net positive, right? There's just a growing market. People will vote with their attention if this is something that they want to do. But in my opinion, if a story is interesting, then whether it's generated by, it's using AI assets or not, it becomes less important.
Yeah, and we're starting to see like a lot of attention travel towards this industry. Even on the show, we've had a few other sort of like video generation, audio
video
generation
creation
teams.
is like just huge right now.
What's the North Star for you guys? Like what's the AGI like moment for you guys that you see in the future, like that you're working towards? Like what is the end goal for this?
Yeah, so our goal is to enable the 99% to be creating videos, right? So until now, the way that I view the world, the way that the team views the world is that if you think about it, like let's drive the analogy of Lovable a little bit further, right? So in the 2000s, we had only web developers could create websites, and that was very limited to them. In the 2010s, we had people that were using Webflow or what's the other one called, Wix, and other like website builders. And then in 2025, we had other platforms such as we had Lovable that allowed you to allowed anyone. So we went from the 0.1% to the 1% to the 99%. Yeah. And in the equivalent analogy in the video space is that in the early 2000s, it was just the 0.1% that were using Premiere Pro and similar tools to be creating, or the Apple product to the studio of Apple to be creating videos. Then we had that increase, a 0.1% increase to the 1% by having web platforms like Descript or Veed being another one that people could create video and then in an easier way. Canva also being another one there. And then in 2025 or 2026, arguably, is where Wondercraft comes in, and Wanda as the agent that helps anyone create video, helps anyone express their story, and enables that 99% to be able to create that video. And for us, that's like a grand vision, because that's like where we're headed to. And the reason is just we know that everyone has a story and they're restricted in expressing it. The internet speaks video, and not everyone can participate in that conversation right now. You guys are online, or you guys are streaming for 4 hours a week. There's a lot of content there, and you guys can participate in that conversation, but not everyone can do that. And there's people that want to express their story. They want to participate in that conversation, and our goal is to enable anyone to enter that conversation.
That's wicked. Awesome. I want to ask about your like potential like collaboration with like startups and companies like Veed, right? Where they're helping create the video asset, whereas you guys are helping shape the story. Is there like, or have you seen people kind of using different platforms in like tandem with you guys? And do you think that that's like a partnership type thing like in the works?
I wouldn't say using different platforms in tandem to us. It's more about us providing access to our users to different platforms. Veed has both an editing studio and a model that they've recently released. So in that sense, yes, Veed is one of the models that we offer on the platform, and then there's a lot more, such as Sora, and so the V fabric model is on the avatar side, and then on the synthetic video side, we have models such as Sora and VO3 and Kling, etc., and others, and similar on the image side. So for sure, there's many collaborations to be had, but for the model companies, which I think, Luke, you were referring to, those models is for us to curate and find which ones our users would want to use, and then offer these to natively to the users on our platform.
Yeah. There was something that I wanted to mention. Like recently, I've been seeing you a lot on X, and also Wondercraft a lot on X. It seems like it's a great place for you to market not only the company but like yourself as a founder. You recently held an event in London. This is where you launch the beautiful, amazing merch that we now have. We're lucky enough to have on our shelf. Can you walk us through what that event was like? We're seeing so many, Attio are doing them, Granola are doing them, and they're great. I think they're a great thing, and I think we need more of them.
Sure.
Can you maybe walk us through?
And you guys, by the way, had a cool event as well. Alex from our team made it, and she had a lot of fun. So looking forward to more of those.
That's amazing to hear.
But yeah, two things on that. So I'd say yes. There's we're in London. It's a growing startup scene. You're right, Attio. Some of the companies that are doing good events right now in this space or in the startup space is Attio and Granola. 11 Labs is another one. And Versal being another one. So we all need to collectively push the Wonder, and I'm very happy about you guys setting up shop, by the way, here in London. And we all need to be collectively pushing the startup community a little bit more, and reach the vibe that exists right now in SF. And I'm glad to be seeing this out there. This is a space where we will be collaborating with other startups in the space over the next month to be hosting a few events. So that's in terms of like the London scene. In terms of what it was that we did. So, we were launching a video editing platform, right? So instead of us launching instead of us having a launch video, but that we created, we decided to give access to 10 users 2 months before everyone else. And with the intent being that they create the launch video for us by using Wondercraft and Wanda.
Nice.
And so the event that you guys saw was the conclusion of that challenge, where these 10 creators showcased their 60 to 120 second video, which is basically our launch video. And then there was a reward or an award of $25,000 for the winners of this competition. So we had both an in-person and live stream of such event, and in the end there was some honestly incredible videos. I'm super, super proud of those videos. The winners won $25,000. The winners that were selected from both a jury that we had of judges, but also anyone that joined the event virtually and also in person could vote. And that kind of like triggered the launch of the private beta of Wondercraft and Wanda. And then this will all conclude with a private beta, with a public beta, which is when we are going to drop this launch video as well. So that's what the event was.
I appreciate we're running out of time, but just quickly.
Can we get another question in?
Yeah, I want to get another question.
Nice.
I want to ask just quickly about your like growth strategy, right? Like you mentioned, obviously people are going to be creating on Wondercraft. Like, is there any like viral like growth hack that you guys can tap into there? Like, what's your plan to kind of grow the user base? Is it X? Is it like LinkedIn, like social media, or what's the kind of plan to acquire users like from the private beta?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of just that organic, I guess, throwing gas to the fire of mouth to mouth, and the way that you can do that is by enabling creatives that are good in creative storytelling or AI creative storytelling to have access to the platform. You may have seen other companies have creative partnership programs or CPP, especially on the video side, and that's something that we've set up. And basically, we give access to our users at no cost to them, some users, and they create and share the stories they created. That's one way, and we believe that this will grow quite a lot. Our social presence, especially once we are public. That's one way. The other side is like more on the PLG side, enabling users to be creating and then sharing their creations as templates for other users to go off of that, and effectively monetize that marketplace is another thing that we're doing. Of course, there's a few other things, but those are like two that come to mind right now.
Yeah, you've seen a ton of like startups before where they've created like a marketplace like inside their company, and I think that's like such a powerful way to kind of grow this, because like you can have like viral growth like loops with Wondercraft, I assume.
No. And 11 Labs has done well on this. So they created a voice marketplace, and voice actors go there and they monetize, and it's something similar that we're doing here on the video side.
Yeah, super fun.
I love that.
I'd want to work in that growth if I was like at Wondercraft. That'd be super
what
fun.
a role that would be.
Yeah.
What a role.
We have someone that's killing it right now, but we can have more people in the team.
Open call out. Wondercraft need a growth intern.
Good stuff. Well, look, thank you so much for joining us. We've run out of time, but open seat, want to hear about what Wondercraft are doing as we roll into 2026. And good luck with everything.
Amazing, guys. Congrats again for setting up shop, and wish you best of luck, and see you at Panathenea as well.
Let's go, man. See you in Athens. Cheers, Demi.
All right. Bye, guys.
You love to see it.
I
only realised that he messaged me on their product launch last year. I remember I was.
I hate when that happens though, because you're like, oh crap, like I actually know you, but you don't really.
No, but I didn't know him at the time. But it's what we did, right? When you launch a product, like you just fire out messages to everyone.
Yeah. You get everyone going. Just a quick word from Jack and Jill. Don't miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want and search thousands of new jobs every hour to find job opportunities worth seeing. Go to jackandjill.ai. They are killing it. They're hiring literally out of their eyeballs right now.
You'd love to see it. And whilst I've got you lovely folk here, let me tell you a little something about Fora. It's the workspace to make your everyday extraordinary. You work from home at work, private offices, whole floors, dedicated desks. Fora offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes. We love Fora. They have great offices, and Luke likes their gummy bears.
I do. Some more breaking news.
Whoa, actually, hold on before we do that. What about the fizzy cola bottles they've been dropping recently?
Dude, fizzy cola bottles were... Dude, it's like 9 a.m. I swear this guy was like just chomping, like chowing down cola bottles.
I could not stop yamming them down. Yeah. They were delicious. Okay, sorry. Now you go.
Some more breaking news. Literally, Marco Squarci, the founder of Specter, they have launched their new real-time news tool.
Yeah. Can we pull this up, actually?
We can pull this up.
Can we get this on the stream?
Do you want to read it out?
I think you read it out. Okay, we're just going to pull this up. We are good to go.
Go from here. Go from now. Specter turns it all into structured, verified. We'll do whatever you want.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, let's do the breaking news.
Just read out.
M-dash, literally. Specter just launched real-time news. Every company's story as it happens. I did.
How likely is it that he created this post on AI?
No, I think the M-dash now is like a sign against. It's like, hey, I'm very aware of what the M-dash means, but I'm going to throw it in my manual script anyway because it's a big middle finger to everyone who thinks that I'm writing with AI. That's my take anyway. We built it because we wanted to challenge our own news layer and tested every database and provider out there. Some of the stuff they can do now, Specter turns it all into structured, verified insights, a real-time stream of what actually matters. A founder casually mentions they've hit 10 million ARR on a podcast. Specter catches it before it hits the press. A stealth startup quietly posts its first job opening in London. Specter flags it as the signal of an upcoming launch. A team drops. We just launched our biggest product update yet on LinkedIn. Specter links it to a spike in hiring and funding chatter. A company publishes a case study with a Fortune 500 client. Specter tags it as a new partnership and traction milestone. They're doing God's work over there. Specter. You want to give
Specter?
What does it mean?
SpecterHQ.com, I believe it is.
And what do you want to be if you use Specter? The reason your phone wins the deal of the decade, my friend. Come on, you know these ones.
Boom.
Right? But yeah, no, God's work over there. You love to see it. Very excited to give that a go. That could be incredibly interesting for us here as well. You know, it could be
next
super
one.
Interesting.
Cologne-based Autonomy raises a $20 million seed. led by Macquarie Capital, Capnamic, RNW Bank, Tech Vision. They've now raised about $25 million. What they do, agentic AI for complex service and support, digital co-workers that read manual schematics, SOPs, maintenance logs, and ERP data to troubleshoot and resolve issues for heavy equipment industries. It claims 95% plus verified response accuracy and hallucination-free outputs. Pretty mad.
Interesting to see another like support.
Enterprise AI assistance is literally like the game now. It's like you can see it.
Well, I think it kind of was the game. It's really cool to see a new one come out here and just dominate the game. I mean, they're focusing on what? I mean, a part of the enterprise resource planning, ERPs, they need to get hit because, man, is that a legacy solution.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what Liam Fuller was doing, actually. Remember Liam Fuller?
Yeah. He was doing
Absolute
something
king.
similar.
He was trying to, I think it was for SMBs, he was building an AI or agentic thing that would sort of, I think replace the ERP actually.
It was like an advisory type
That whole
tool, right?
ERP space is just like, I don't know who's going to do it, but someone needs to kick NetSuite out of that thing because that it is ancient, everyone uses it, and I just hear it's an absolute nightmare for those guys over there.
Yeah. I think the founders quoted saying they translate expert knowledge into scalable operational intelligence and leverage experience for productivity. These are exactly the kinds of technologies that industry needs to transfer AI from research stage to value creation. It's all about that value creation.
We love that value creation.
Are you just running
Let's
a
hear it
little
for value
chatbot?
creation real quick actually.
Value creation.
Got it there.
Good stuff.
Love that.
Next on the show, 2 minutes, we have Max Buchan. But I just want to touch on a little friend of the show. I want to say he's a friend of the show, but I don't want to just use his name. But Greg Eisenberg. We've had a few back and forth tweets every now and again.
You guys had a little thing going on there.
We did, but it's not really about Greg Eisenberg. He just had a good take or good summary of Daniel Ek, founder and CEO. He's becoming ex-CEO of Spotify. He's moving to a board seat in January 2026. On David Senra's Founders podcast, he's been on there before, so this was his second time. Definitely give it a listen. It's like 2 hours or something, whatever. Super interesting guy. He's like the godfather of Scandinavian knowledge. He just
Did you see that they
vibe,
not paid properly, but Will Benidis was cycling around on the US version of a Lime bike, saying the David Senra podcast.
Dude, when they launched the Founders podcast,
that's so funny.
How many people reposted it on X, LinkedIn?
No. I mean, he's a god.
He literally just went through the whole roster of all top 1% and just said, "Hey, launching this thing, by the way."
No, bang,
super cool. Do you want to read through a few, or should we? I feel like we're going to have Max on while we do this, so maybe we wait.
Okay.
Let's
go back to the stream. Thank you.
Let's give a summary on Max Buchan before he comes on.
Wait, let me just hit you with a little. I want to say a little bit something about ACI.dev. It's the open source middleware to control, govern, and observe AI access to your tools and your data. But yes, Max Buchan or Buchan. We need to.
Buchan, founder and CEO of Valerian. Engineer for enterprise, hardened for the front lines. They've raised $20 million to date.
One out for that.
It's going to be good.
Keeping us safe.
It's going to be a good one.
$20 million raised to date. We'd love to see it.
Valerian, sick company.
And also, can we actually pull up the announcement we did for him? Because this photo just goes so hard. Let me just try and see if I can get this up quickly. Before he jumps into the stream, this is tense. I'm getting tense right now.
We were in a fora yesterday doing these announcements, and this one goes super hard.
Okay, there we go.
So cool.
Can we pull that up like that? Okay, we've got that up. Nice, because that thing. It's like something out of a movie. It's like I don't know. It's like a Shakespearean play. Maybe you'd see that in the West End.
Yeah, I'd say more kind of Avengers poster, but yeah. I feel like you could put him on an Avengers poster with all of the dudes
you love
and girls.
The Equalizer 2 and Chris Pratt.
He would look like an absolute weapon on that with him. That would be cool.
You love to see it. Absolute beast. But I think we have Max Max tuning in as we speak. We're just waiting to get the green light from our producer.
He is on. Max Buchan, how's it going?
I think, are we live?
Hey guys.
Yeah, we're
Good to meet
live.
you guys.
We're live
How's
and
it going?
direct. Max, how are we? Yeah, it's so good to meet you. Thank you for joining the European Technology Network. We are honoured to have you here. And I must quickly say, we are aware that you guys sent us some merch ahead of the show. We actually didn't manage to cross paths over at our investors' offices, which is where they've been sent. I think we left slightly early. We missed the email. That is my bad. I'm going to hold my hand up. That's nothing to do with Luke. I missed the email.
We'll get it on for Thursday.
I just want to own that publicly because, Luke has
mate.
been doing great work. But Max, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. By the way, there are some very nice gilets waiting for you in that case. So something to look forward to.
I mean, you are talking...
Yeah, I love a good gilet.
I might just leave the stream now and just
Luke,
go. Like,
honestly, I would not be surprised.
I'm an ex-PE boy, so I'm
Luke,
gilet is my
when
is
you
my
just
thing.
said the word gilet, I could feel a bit of aura effervesce.
It's palpable.
Yeah.
It's palpable.
Something
I love
changed
it.
in the studio just now.
That's great. Also, just a quick one. How do we pronounce your second name? Is it Buchan?
I said Butcher.
It's Buchan.
Buchan.
But thank you for asking. It's Buchan.
Both
It's
got it wrong.
Scottish.
Okay,
It's
nice.
Scottish. Okay,
Max
nice.
Buchan. Awesome, dude. Tell us what's new. With
So much to
Valerian.
dig into.
Let's start from
Let's
there.
go.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year. So my name's Max. I run a company called Valerian. We're a dual purpose infrastructure company. So that means we service enterprises like banks, pharma companies, airlines, etc. But more increasingly, and frankly, the majority of our customer base is in defense. We kind of got dragged a bit backwards into this. We never set about trying to build a defense company, but here we are. But I think it's been an interesting year, particularly. I think a lot of the folks in this industry thought that the catalyst for increased spending would be about 3 years ago with the invasion of Ukraine. But what we actually are facing is the reality of the changing relationship with the Trump administration. So this year, frankly, has been the major catalyst, I believe, in massively increasing NATO spending. So it's been absolutely mental. I'm on a plane every single week at the moment. So it's good to be back in London for more than 2 days and talking to you guys.
That's good to hear. It's good to have you back. So straight away, just off the bat, you mentioned there's this sort of reinvigorated feeling in Europe, and I guess in the UK as well,
Especially in
terms of
defense tech.
defense spend, right? And there has definitely been a shift. I think probably I'd love to ask you, but people, who do we have from Project A? It was Jack. This is in some way a response to what we're seeing in the States. It's some way a response to what we're seeing with Israel and Palestine. It's some way a response to what we're seeing with Ukraine and Russia as well. What was it that sort of flipped the switch? I feel like it happened in the last 2 or 3 years. Is it all of them? Is it one of them? Is it Trump? Is it sort of what is happening in the UK, I guess, and Europe as a whole in this world?
Yeah, I think that's a great multifaceted question. So I think there's a few bits in there to unpack. I mean, the first piece, I talked about this last week. I was in Riyadh for FII and we were on a panel talking about the rearmament of Europe that's kind of happening right now. Now, it's hard to say specifically which the catalyst was, whether it was the last few years. I think it's probably more to do with the Trump administration than we initially anticipated in terms of budget increase. But the point I often make on this is it's not really a question of the raw dollar amount spent. I think one of the problems we've had in Europe generally, and by the way, this is not really a defense question, but it's the kind of risk averse nature to doing things. And that specifically has been really clear to see when it comes to times of being on a war footing, right? Because at the end of the day, we don't have 6 years to procure and test stuff anymore. I mean, Valerian's not even 6 years old as a company.
Yeah.
So if you were to disaggregate the actual amount spent in Europe, which is significantly increasing, obviously, with the kind of 5% benchmark, and you just look at the raw kind of procurement timelines, we still have to get through a lot of bureaucracy to get to the place that we want to be at.
Yeah. And does that have, obviously that has direct impact on the speed that you guys can grow, but how in terms of specifically is that really kind of affecting you guys growing and building what you kind of want to build?
For sure. I mean, I said this jokingly in a symposium that we had recently with a very senior general, which is that we view our UK work as philanthropy. And I mean that with all the love in the world, because we're not with a lot of the stuff we're doing in the UK, we just want to make sure we get capabilities into the hands to end users, right? Just really, really quickly. We kind of work out all the frameworks in the background. I would say we're fortunate because when it came to defense, our first customers were actually American, and that really helped. Like in the sense of our first, like the first major winning of deals that we had was, frankly, in the US government ecosystem. So that really, really helped. My COO, Josh, it's an amazing guy. He's essentially my co-founder. He had spent the last 12 years at Palantir and had spent 18 years in the kind of US special operations ecosystem. So he has a lot more knowledge than I do. So we were lucky in a sense that we started building a significant business in the US, and that allowed us to move a bit quicker in the UK because firstly, we were legitimized, I think, by other work we had done outside of Europe, frankly, but then also just having a bit more resource to get technology into the hands of users quicker.
Yeah, there was something that Luke and I were quite keen to ask, and it's something that we talk a lot about this on the show, not really from a more microcosmic standpoint in terms of like these are more like niche communities that we're seeing, but this sense of optimism. And I think just seeing your interviews in the past and what you've been doing recently, like there seems to be this theme of this like rallying together type of momentum. I mean, Luke and I sort of narrate on this across the whole of Europe, but I think you're specifically referring to the UK. Can we hear a bit more about that? I'd love to dig into it.
I think what's interesting is I think there's a lot of optimism, but in silos is what I've noticed. And I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. And one of the things that we try to do more specifically in our own industry recently is bring in a bunch of folks from kind of disparate parts of MOD, the kind of community, all that stuff. Because so many people want to do stuff, but it's easy to feel quite isolated. Yeah. And that we, if we listen to the kind of media about, Europe's slow growth, etc., that you kind of feel like you're the only one, banging your head against a brick wall. I think it's why it's good to have these kind of channels and outlets that people can kind of realize that they're all kind of trying to swim in the same direction at least. And that's not just frankly in our industry. I think we see that across the board. But I think very quickly on, Ronan, you mentioned a point about the UK specifically. I think why I'm particularly bullish on the UK's long-term potential is I kind of see us as potentially becoming the new sort of like Switzerland. And what I mean by that is like we still have a really great relationship with the US, but obviously we are extremely close with continental Europe. So we do have this interesting straddling geopolitically that we could play. I don't think it's being played very well right now, but I think it really could in future.
And how, again, like going into specifics, but like how do you think specifically that could like actually happen, I guess?
Yeah, man. We spend a lot of time. Yeah, for sure, man. I'm not caffeinated enough potentially to understand too many specifics, and also I think we've only got 10 minutes. But I think, look, I'm always wary because we spend a lot of our time with British Gov, and there's some incredible people in the UK government ecosystem. So I want to be totally clear about that. But it is. It's a difficult balance to tread between the current administration in the US, which I do think we're doing a fairly good job of. But then also like you have the slightly fractious nature of continental Europe when it comes to like some kind of adhesive solution. Like for instance, for us, we do work across Europe, and it's very different in Eastern and Western Europe, for instance. And so, but the bloc altogether is very strong. I mean, if you were to take, I believe, all European GDP plus Canada, I think it's roughly the size of the US. Wow. So as a kind of adhesive whole, if it can be done, I think it's really bullish.
You're sort of going back and forth right now mentioning the US and Europe as a whole, and you actually operate across the UK, US and EU markets. Can you compare the fundraising experience in these regions? Because we've spoke to a few people about this, and there is a general narrative around comparing Europe with the US. A lot of it is memed to hell, which is quite funny, to be honest. I find some of that hilarious. Can you compare the three? Like, give us a breakdown of someone who's done all three.
You know what? When I started, so for context, I'd been involved in another startup before this, and I was very lucky that I'd worked for an American chap, because I think if I hadn't, my career would have taken a different trajectory. So I worked for this guy called Ryan, who founded this business called Coinbase, and I went to work there as the first employee. It was really fun. But Ryan was a Division I American football player from Duke. I had no idea what that meant at the time, but he was just like a tier 1 athlete. And that kind of mentality, the athletic mentality plus the kind of American dynamism, for want of a better word, was really powerful. I think it was tough then applying that to kind of where we were working between like France, Sweden and the UK, but it was an interesting experience. So I kind of a little bit of the taste of that before. Now, Coinbase grew really quickly. It went public on the NASDAQ, all that good stuff. But when I then left to start Valerian when I was about 24, it was really interesting because I had this kind of like boundless optimism from working with Ryan and building this company that went public and all this stuff. When I told people in the UK I was going to start this company, everyone told me the 10 reasons it would definitely fail. I mean, that was just, I didn't really ask them for that opinion, but everyone just kind of felt it was it was their duty to tell me why it would definitely not work. Whereas like my friends in the US were like, dude, what are the 10 ways I can help? And I think that was the really stark contrast. It was like, who are the 10 people that I can call to help you build your company versus, oh no, this is definitely going to go to zero. And I think that was like emblematic of a kind of wider problem set here. And then, but the kind of interesting paradigm in the UK is you have that at the beginning, which is really, really difficult. And then you get into like enough momentum that it's like, okay, they're going to probably stick around. And you get into this happy medium whereby you can kind of bumble along and do the thing. But then we also have tall poppy syndrome in the UK, which is if you get too successful, people also want to just chat shit and tear you down again. Yeah. And I think that's like bizarre. And I was talking to our chairman started an amazing company called Darktrace here, which did phenomenally well. But Darktrace was phenomenally successful. A lot, there was a lot of kind of people would say different things about them. And I often think about that in the sense of like really difficult at the beginning, kind of okay, and then tall poppy syndrome again at the end of the UK. So it's kind of a very specific culture here that I still can't completely wrap my head around.
Yeah. The kind of like risk averse like nature of I guess like specifically the UK has got better, I think. Like when you started at 24, do you think that in terms of risk averseness, has it changed, or like is it getting better basically?
I mean, look, I think it's always on a positive trend. I mean, if we look at the kind of cycles of liquidity, I think that's what inevitably always helps, right? So if you have the last folks before you building companies who exit, become liquid and fund the next one, because it's not just a question of like capital allocation, it's also a question of like who has actually been there and done it. And we have got people in Europe. One of the challenges though is it is one of those things where like you have some phenomenal founders, but for every founder you need like 5 tier 1 operators. Yeah. So you kind of, that kind of mathematics on top of that, it is quite tricky. I mean, most of our team is actually from stateside. As we build it out, obviously we are trying to build a much more kind of UK slanted ecosystem here as well as we hire. But yeah, that would be my observation on that, Luke.
Yeah. And let's kind of like deep dive a little bit more into like Valerian and how you guys are like looking to grow and that kind of stuff. We were talking earlier on the show about specifically defense companies and having this kind of stylish type vibe to them now, where branding is as much as important as it is if you were running a consumer product, right? What's your kind of take on that? How do you see yourself doing that? Is that out of sight, out of mind? Is that winning contracts? What's the like talk in the town about that?
Well, look, I hope when you receive your gilet, Luke, you'll be like, wow, this is a cool brand, firstly. But it's actually, that's a really interesting question. And I think obviously Palantir probably led the charge on that. And then you have kind of Anduril who make their drones look very aptly in a sense. But I think it's one of those things that this industry has kind of proliferated so quickly, because even like, dude, I mean, even I think 2 years ago when we started doing our first defense work, again in the US, I had investors say you shouldn't take that. I was like, what do you mean? First, it's a good thing to do morally, like it's an important thing that matters, and also, frankly, it's a big revenue contract. And then I did have people in Europe saying, oh no, you absolutely can't do that. But given that's completely shifted, and some people now argue that defense should be ESG, like it's actually part of like social good to do these things, which to see that flip on its head is quite extreme. But I think what's interesting is seeing that kind of proliferate from almost nothing here. You then implement all the facets that make a good business. So whether that's kind of great GTM teams, all the way down to like design mannerisms. So I think like for me, we also think about brands, which is actually like an infra company where we do a lot of like quite frontier technology stuff that you can't often see because these are like virtualized enclaves. Yeah. We still really think about how you're going to build the the brand, the ecosystem around what you're doing.
Yeah, we're seeing the shift live is crazy, and you're absolutely right. Like, I think the first time that I saw this thing, it's something that we've discussed at length before, is Anduril's like anime-style launch videos of a few of their missiles, and like a lot of that is baked in, or is a trickle-down effect from Palmer and his personality in general. I'm pretty sure, but it like that was the first time I kind of saw it, and then months later we're seeing. Senior execs at Helsing invite Sifted in for coffee and croissants, and they get a tour of the place. And now they're writing up, that's the first time something like that's happening. Like journalists are getting welcomed in to have coffee with executives at major defense companies, and that in itself, I think, does represent this. Like that story alone could represent the shift that we're seeing, right? They're being more open, they're lifting the hood, people are getting more desensitized to the taboo, scary defense stuff, right? Like and I'm here for that change. I think it's a great thing.
For sure. Yeah, we absolutely, man. I mean, we actually did a video. I don't know if you've seen it, but the reason we did it is because a lot of the stuff that we do, because we don't make drones or kinetic warfare of any kind, so we don't make like pointy things. We build like digital infra, which oftentimes is invisible. But we had built this one edge product, which was we had built a GPU cluster and a Starlink, so you could run Accra, our platform, at the edge in really austere environments, and it was pretty cool. And I was actually really proud of the team that we had managed to put this together in like 6 weeks for a customer requirement. But like we got a bunch of UK Special Forces guys that we know super well, and again, like no one's identity was revealed, but we actually got to mock up the scenario of where we had deployed that product, and it was just really funny because again in the UK people were like, oh, you can't really do a film about that. I was like, to your point, Ronan, about Anduril stuff, all the thing. I mean, I think people also want to see what you're doing and that you're actually building stuff. Yeah. I think one of the slight dangers in defense, because it's so buzzy, especially if you sprinkle a bit of AI in there, I think what we worry about is just making sure like real capabilities are being delivered. So one of the reasons we put that stuff out where we can is to just like showcase we are actually doing the thing.
It's like clear like value creation. Like obviously so many startups are like leveraging AI to do X, Y, and Z, but it's like, how are you creating value? It should be like a very simple kind of like value creation like thing that you're doing, right? And so it makes it just more tangible, especially because your product isn't like a physical pointy thing.
Yeah. Well, that is good. Like from a communication standpoint, if anything, like more like, yes, people might be. There might be taboos or have been taboos around defense, and people are scared, quotation marks, of these defense companies. But it's like, if the defense companies can communicate clearly what they're doing and show that like, hey, like, we're not this big, bad, scary entity that you think, like this is what we're working on, it's actually really cool, like it's providing this value, then I think, the fear probably comes from a lack of understanding or like maybe some opaque messaging from certain firms, but it's nice to see that you guys aren't doing that. You're being very open and you're sort of, you're thinking about the consumer regardless of whether they're an end client or not. It's from a brand piece, that's really cool. Yeah.
Should we touch?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, you go.
Yeah, I was just going to say to your point, Ronan, just cutting through the noise, right, and making like the only thing we really think about day to day is making sure we're actually delivering value to the end customer, right, and stuff, and proving that. And so, encapsulating that as best we can, and also getting the message out there. Because my other biggest focus point every day is hiring. So making sure we get the right people on the team as well. So, sorry, Luke, what were you going to say, mate?
I was just going to say, obviously, we're kind of wrapping up time. I want to talk about your strategy and your focus on growing Valerian, and how you're seeing like where the kind of opportunities are in terms of just globally, but also like maybe more specifically in terms of like the industry and what's going on in defense.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we are super focused on the UK right now. I mean, we're growing the US business quite significantly, but our home market for me is really important. I don't know if it's because like of some blind patriotic duty or something, but I do think the UK, like given the fact that we spend in dollar terms, $85 billion a year, and we don't have a single defense unicorn in the UK is kind of wild. So obviously we are trying to build a meaningful company here with the kind of cutting edge capabilities that we are going to need for the next 5 to 10 years. But I also like more widely, the kind of macro view on Europe is I believe there will be quite significant market capitulation, because there are just like, I mean, we talked about drone companies. There are, man, I've met like 100 different drone companies this year. It's wild. And so there are some great things happening. There are some not so great things happening. And we are already looking at our own first acquisitions to make across Europe, because I think the kind of like aggregation of capabilities will happen as we see these neo primes emerge. Obviously, you guys mentioned Helsing; it's a great company. Amber's over in the US. I think Europe will probably end up having 2 to 3 neo primes that service the whole market. So obviously, we're trying to make sure that Valerian's one of those.
That's
For
awesome.
sure, dude.
That's so awesome. And you see that in the AI space, right? There's like a certain like conformity to it over a certain period of time. Like it's a breakdown of 100 minor players into like, you know, suddenly it's 50 players, then it's like, you know, 5 leaders, whatever it is. But awesome to see. Well, I'm conscious we're over time, which is annoying because I'm really enjoying this conversation. Max, we have to have you back on. We have to hear the updates.
Please, yeah.
It's been our absolute pleasure, and thank you for the Gilets. I know that we'll be wrapping them on stream, I think, on Thursday.
Thanks, guys. Well, we can have a pint soon and we can all wear our matching gilets.
I'd love to. I mean, Luke probably knows a few spots to do that. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can join all the finance bros.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Cheers,
Great
Max.
to meet you, dude.
Guys,
Nice
thanks,
one.
guys. Take care.
So cool. Gilets.
Gilets.
I forgot twice that we were getting them, and then we remembered it twice.
On.
So I was like, I got to enjoy that 3 times. Because I like,
And well, you've already forgotten twice that we have gilets, can't you?
well, yeah, I was just so engrossed in the conversation.
Dude, you didn't even tell me.
Remember the Gilets?
What the hell?
Well, I didn't know about the Gilets. I just knew that there was merch coming to Sequel, and I missed it. We left early, and then I checked my emails later on at night. It was like 11:30, to be fair, just after we were prepping everything for today. And then I saw Luca's message. He was the one that set up the interview, and yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go.
They were hand delivered as well, which is, you know.
Quick little tidbit on C-Point, your startup's financial home. Get back control of your finances with C-Point, a business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting. Go to cpoint.co. They are killing it over there. Fun times. Okay, let's jump into that Greg Eisenberg thing.
Yes, we can get that.
Mr. Daniel Ek. If you haven't watched the Founders podcast, go and have a watch, because Daniel Ek is an absolute genius. Just the way he like articulates what he says is just like super interesting, and he's got this kind of like aura about him that is, you know, it's very calm and like calculated in terms of he wants to obviously help people and stuff, and I think just everything he says is like super valuable. So go and have a look. But we are going to go through.
I think we got it live. We got it live on the stream right now. I mean, do you want to intro this? You were the one that flagged it.
Yeah. Notes after listening to Daniel Ek, Spotify founder, for 2 hours straight with David Senra at the Founders podcast. There's a few in here that I want to pick out. First one, play the infinite game, number 13. Build companies meant to last, outliving their founders. Don't optimize for exit, optimize for legacy. The reason I love that is because in this like AI world, all that kind of stuff, like you're almost like, I feel like you're chasing like quick wins all the time. And I think the founders that we get on, they're building like generational companies, and I like to think that we're getting on the top founders, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And they're always gearing for, like they're not gearing for like the next kind of big thing, if that makes sense. Like they're always kind of like gearing for this like big kind of like proper mission, like
empire building,
proper like creation value in the world, not just in their like lifetime, which is really nice. Anything that stands out for you?
I like number 6 quite a lot. The stay radically curious.
Yeah, it's kind of
any
us.
scale, shadow the best, ask questions and learn from every direction. Intellectual humility beats ego-driven blindness. That is actually a really cool point, and what I like is when you meet someone who you look up to, you know, just like an elite warrior of the game. Maybe meet them at an event, maybe somehow get an intro, maybe get on a call with them, maybe meet them for coffee, whatever it is. And it's quite refreshing when they're curious in like your side of things, when they're asking questions about you.
Yeah. They just care about themselves.
But like no ego style, like, oh cool, like yeah, let me learn from you as well. Even though, like, let's be honest, like I'm talking to someone who's ranks and ranks and ranks above me, has achieved like incredible things.
Yeah, I do.
But they don't wear that as a
Yeah, I do.
yeah, as some sort of like thing.
One other one,
Yeah.
which I think
one do you
is
like?
very cool, was So you said number 6. Where was the other one? Oh, number 7. Sorry. Taste versus metrics. We talk a lot about taste and a lot about human craft. It basically says, don't solely chase data, defend your weird instincts, but welcome the signal. As you grow, empower smarter products, thinkers to interpret both. I think like that in itself is probably one of the most important things. Like having an insight into like what's working and what's not. I feel like we see a lot of people who are just kind of blindly running at something, and I think it's good to like be, I guess like ignorance is bliss type thing, and it can get you to places, but making sure that you are, you have taste, like you understand like what's not working, iterate out of that. It's less about, oh my God, 10 VCs have said no to me raising and no to coming onto my cap table, whatever. Like, you have to know when to run and when to quit.
You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're very cool. I do, like that level of blind ignorance or like delusion can be super powerful. It's obviously very necessary, but like, I think, like even like the don't solely chase the data stuff, like you could even suggest that would be like chasing the quick wins as well, like chasing like, oh, this thing's popping off right now, let me rush into this, like FOMO driven.
It's like all about focus.
Mode, which probably does more damage than good in the long term. Cool, we can bring this down. Thank you very much.
Next guest we have on is Mr. Alex Rakuso. He is the founder and CEO of Citizen X.
The borderless man.
The borderless man.
Man with no borders.
I wrote a tweet and said, I can't remember what his name was when I said it. Let me just get it up. I said, oh God, this is embarrassing. I now can't find it.
Oh, while Luke's doing that, let me tell you about our friends over at Jack and Jill. Don't miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want and search thousands of new jobs every hour. It's fine job opportunities worth seeing.
I said, Mr. Freedom through markets is coming onto chat. Excited is an understatement. This guy is a god. He's awesome. It's going to be cool to chat to him about everything Citizen X. And see what's going on in his world, to be honest. Like
Balaji's on his cap table.
Yeah, he's building the only secure and private platform to acquire citizenship in countries. That's just like
super dope. You love to
super
hear
funny.
See
I love it.
In news, Apple to use Google Gemini for next version of Siri. Slight clickbaity title. Kind of true, kind of not true. Let's pull this article up. This is from. Okay. I would say biased source. It's like the channel is like 9 to 5 Mac, but it's been suggested that Apple has landed on its strategy for the new Siri update coming as soon as iOS 26.4 in the spring of next year. Behind the scenes, much of the new Siri experience will use Google Gemini models. The custom Gemini model will run on Apple's private cloud compute servers to help fulfill user requests. I'm pumped about this.
What's the strategy there?
Like Siri's not going to be like, it's going to be running on Google Gemini models.
People people are so confused why Apple isn't running like seriously hard towards AI.
Well, they haven't
how
really
can you miss
made
AI?
a major play. Like Siri
had
so bad. If you think about Siri when it first came out, you think in your head, you're like, this is like so early it came out, and you're kind of pumped around like, okay, I'll put this little voice robot in my phone. This is before all this madness. And they had such a head start on everyone
Is it like
else.
the biggest generational like bag fumble? Like,
yeah, for sure. Like I don't know how they didn't capitalize on that better.
Like they're missing AI. Let's face it. Like
which is why we're seeing them. I'm happy about this because one, it improves
your iPhone.
the iPhone's user experience, and two, like I hold both Google and Apple stocks. So it's probably pumps them both.
Well, in the Apple earnings call, like they aren't doing particularly well. Revenues are down, I think.
Everything.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. They're expecting a spike, obviously, for Christmas. Should be interesting to see. But yeah, some other news on the earnings call.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's just talk about that super quick.
Like
we can
that.
bring this off the Google stuff. So this was nuts, and like people aren't too happy about this, but I think it's hilarious. Brian Armstrong, Coinbase CEO, at the end of their earnings call, if we can pull this up, at the end of the Coinbase earnings call, Brian Armstrong pulled up, and you can hear it live. You should go check out the video. Pulls up, like, I don't know if it was Kalshi or if it was Polymarket, but one of the prediction markets, and basically like starts listing off like words that weren't mentioned, that people were betting on being mentioned in the Coinbase earnings call. And there's also a transcript that I'd love to pull up. Can we pull up another? I can just switch back and pull up another transcript for this like interaction. It's actually wild, and it's very. It's very questionable. It's very fringe line. It's very like on the fence. Like people aren't really too sure what to think about it. But essentially, he goes, "This is on the earnings call. This is the highlighted text on the tweet." He goes, "I was a little distracted because I was tracking the prediction market about what Coinbase will say on their next earnings call, and I just want you to know, and I just want to full stop. Add here the words Bitcoin, Ethereum, blockchain, staking, and Web3 to make sure we get those in before the end of the call." He said that live on the earnings call. So you can imagine, like, apparently it was floated as a link. He was like, someone at the company posted the link and was like, like, look at this. Like, they're all betting on what we're going to say. Like, people are like, look at this. Like, insider trading. Like, if I'm an employee at Coinbase, I'm dropping wedge on those calls. I'm putting like all of my salary on my CEO saying
monthly salary straight back into the company, I guess. Not really, but like.
But then like you just
straight back into betting the company on the company.
And then he was like, like an employee shared the link, and I thought it was funny. Like I'm a huge fan. Like I think it's hilarious. I wish that we could do that. I wish I could message Brian and say like, hey, I've got a couple hundred riding on you, shouting out ETN.
Yeah, dude.
Good.
Well, like it's what they were saying on like on live streams. It was something like Logan Paul, but like basically like he was like, why are people not pushing product on your lives? Like you've got like tens of thousands of people on live. Like why are they not like pushing product?
Speaking of people on live, I think we've got Alex coming into the studio. Alex, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me, Ronald?
I can hear you loud and clear, my
friend.
It's
a beautiful day.
Welcome to the European Technology Network. I'm actually quite embarrassed because your backdrop is well cooler than ours. Where are you calling in from? It looks like you're calling in from the gates of heaven.
Right now I'm in Madrid, Spain.
So cool. What's new in your world? That looks like, I can't get over how beautiful that backdrop is.
Sorry, can you repeat that one?
Yeah, sorry. What's going on in your world? What's new?
Well, a lot of traveling. Just came back from Lugano, Switzerland. I was there for Plan B. And yeah, now in Madrid, Spain, a lot of travels coming up as well. Very exciting things that we're preparing at Citizen X that hopefully we can share more soon.
You love to hear
awesome stuff. Let's give us the update on Citizen X. Tell us
tell us what it is first.
Yeah, what it is.
I'm pretty sure I know, but I'd love to have it reconfirmed.
Yeah. So we're making buying a passport as easy as buying a stock. So we have created the first citizenship market where you can buy passports from different countries that welcome you as a citizen.
That is so cool. So okay.
And you're like the only company doing it. Can you hear us?
Sorry, Luke. I think I heard you a bit far away.
No worries.
Oh, really? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, nice. I said you're one of the only companies, if not the only company, that's been able to like pull this off. It seems super tricky.
Yeah. What's really interesting is that this industry in its traditional form has existed for decades. It is something that the wealthy people, high net worth individuals, your family offices of the world have been doing for decades, but no one has productized it and make it accessible for more people. So it is an industry that is filled with bureaucracy. It's really hard to navigate. Really hard to know what's legal, what's not. So no one has taken this approach of trying to build a platform that is private, secure, transparent. So exactly how to invest in citizenship and diversify your passport portfolio. I think it's something that has happened to many other asset classes. It has happened to stocks, has happened to crypto, it has happened to real estate, but it hasn't happened to citizenship yet. And yeah, I believe we're the first ones to try to achieve this.
That's insane. And like your investors that are on board, how like walk us through that? Tim Draper, like Balaji as well. Like, how did you sort of cross paths with these guys?
Yeah, well, my co-founder Luis, he was quite successful with his previous venture, Aragon. And he was already well known in the freedom tech space. So he was able to bring a lot of these investors on board. Basically, pro freedom, pro sovereign individual, libertarian investors, and that's mostly the kind of investors that participated in our angel round.
That's cool. I want to deep dive on the product. Like, can you give us a bit of not an update, but like an explanation more specifically about the product, how it works, what you do for users, and like, is it quite easy to kind of buy citizenship in certain countries? Like, how does it actually work?
Can I buy one?
Yeah, you can. The only thing that you need is to commit the capital that the country wants you to commit, either as a donation or as an investment to the country, and then provide the necessary information. They're quite intensive in terms of, due diligence. So they ask for all sorts of information, and that's, also the part that we try to help the most with, in terms of, gathering all your documents, making sure they're ready, notarizations, apostilles, translations if needed, then automatically generating all the paperwork, streamlining all the payments. We also allow the payments with cryptocurrency. That is something quite new in the industry, that is so traditional. So essentially, we try to help the process from end to end. From the day you get started to the day you receive your passport in hand. You might have seen our boxes around Twitter. Some of our customers have been posting them when they receive the passport on their Citizen X box. So essentially, we try to make it as easy as possible, accompanying them through the process, providing all the information through our secure private platform in Switzerland, and trying to make it, as easy and transparent as possible.
That's so cool. I can just see like the viral growth hacks. Like at ETM, we send out like an invite, and like sometimes people accidentally leak it, which is fun. But when they get their passport, you mentioned like a Citizen X box. Like, is it like super? Like, is it like a beautiful like wooden box? You open it and it's kind of like gold flashing out. Like, what's like? Quite. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can like create it like super nice, and then people post about it, right?
Yeah, that's what we try. I mean, I've read some people on Reddit saying that it looks like a Tesla box. So that's the feeling that we try to give to it. People used to flex credit cards. I think it's time for them to flex passports.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I want to know, like, how do you get to this idea? Like, how do you, one, think of this, and then two, actually start it? Because I've never heard of anything like this before.
Yeah, well, I learned about flag theory when I was like 14 years old. Flag theory is basically this, nerdy theory that says that you should set up your flags in different countries to maximize your freedom. And your flags are your tax residency, your companies, your assets, and obviously your passports. So, you should plant those in different countries to maximize your freedom. I have always been, a big follower of the Austrian School of Economics, libertarian ideas. So in 2020, I saw many trends converging with, remote work, network states from Balaji as well. And I figured out that there was no easy way for people to invest in what I believe is the new asset class of this century, that is citizenship. It is becoming increasingly more relevant as nation states try to hold their citizens hostage with things like what we have just seen in the UK with the exit tax, where nation states are trying for people not to leave the country, and I think trying to give them an exit with different passports, different citizenships was just the way to go, and there was no easy way to do it. So here we are trying to make it more accessible for people.
What's the way to like, because it's getting so much more fluid for people to like you can be global like so easy, right? And especially if you work in tech, you can kind of create this. You can go and work in the US, EU, whatever, like wherever you kind of want to work, especially if it's like online only. Are you like, is there a way that you can kind of like partner with like tech companies in that sense where it's like, hey, like we can provide your employees with this benefit that almost like allows them to, it's like a recruitment tool, right? Where that's one of their benefits, that you can just have one of these, like, I guess, a passport for wherever, so they can relocate to then be able to work for that said company.
Yeah, I would say right now the citizenship market is a bit on the high end, too high end to do that because all of these programs start at around $100,000. But what we have seen is different co-founders, or CEOs, executives of different companies, recommending each other to do the process once they have done it once. So that's definitely something that we have, being helping them with. I expect more countries to launch newer citizenship programs and become more competitive, and then the drive the price drives to the bottom, and they become more accessible with different offerings. Probably weaker passports have lower prices, and then it just becomes more accessible to your average person.
It's,
Nice.
it's so interesting to hear all this. Like, I'm blown away by this business. I just didn't even know this was a world that existed. So this is really cool. What you mentioned, you're Swiss originally, or you've been living in Switzerland for the majority of your life.
No, I'm originally from Spain, but we're based in Switzerland.
Got it. And what I assume that you spend a lot of time in Switzerland as well. What's the tech scene like in Switzerland?
Well, I would say that I'm particularly drawn to the scene in Lugano that is, very Bitcoin driven, with all the things that the Tether Bitfinex guys have been doing for the ecosystem there. Many Bitcoin companies are moving to Lugano, and I'm especially attracted to the ethos of those communities. So I would say that's the biggest community there. Then I know that there are also many folks in Zurich with the ETH University and things like that. But the trend that I think it's also really interesting is that many family offices. I was just with a private banker last week. A family-owned Swiss private bank for 100 years in Switzerland, and they are just opening a new office in Abu Dhabi. So I think there's a really interesting trend of exodus of people that are going to different places from Switzerland, and hopefully there's something that Switzerland can also do to keep all of these people from moving away.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah,
I want to ask I don't know if you can reveal this information, but what's the most amount of like passports or citizenship things that like one customer owns from your platform?
Well, I have seen people with 7, 8 passports. As long as your country recognizes dual citizenship.
Level.
Yeah, surely if you're walking through an airport and they find you with like 7 passports, like regardless of whether you're acting normal
You're
or not,
legit
they're
or not,
probably going to be like, come on, man.
It's like, pick one. What would you
what's
like?
going on here? Like, surely something's going on.
Yeah, well, they just care about one. As long as you have the right one, you're good to go. Usually the problem comes from having, fewer passports than from having many.
That's so funny. That's so cool. And let's say I want to buy a passport. How much money do I have to put up for this thing?
It's at 100 grand, right?
Well,
Or is it 100K?
yeah, like I said, the cheapest one right now is Sao Tome and Principe. It's a dual island nation in Africa, and you can get that for around $100,000. And then the most expensive one is El Salvador at $1 million. And we have been, working really closely with the administration there. Hopefully soon there will have more options, but right now it is a $1 million program.
That's
Wow.
insane.
That's
and what's
nuts.
the when you're going to pitch to these administrations, like what is the pitch? It's like, I can bring you guys more
Like
wealthy individuals coming to your country, right? That is the pitch.
Yeah, well, not just that, but we also have a really good touch on what the new wealth is interested in. So in the case of El Salvador, it's a Bitcoin program. They are a Bitcoin country, so they want to attract Bitcoiners. And we have been working with Bitcoiners for many years. We acquired Plan B Passport in April from Katie Ananina, who has been working with Bitcoiners since 2019. So we have a really good experience with Bitcoiners, designing also programs to raise Bitcoin and for countries to fundraise. in a budget neutral way, basically by issuing citizenship. So the same way a country can issue bonds to raise funds, they can also issue citizenship to raise funds. So that's the way that we have advised El Salvador, and the way that we are also advising other countries in this sense.
So do you get to chat to like the government over there in El Salvador as well? Like what's their thoughts on the ground about this big Bitcoin shift? And the president, like, I love his tweets, by the way, they're so funny, where he's like live trading the company's like GDP on Binance. It's so funny, and he's like doing incredibly well. Like he's up like an insane amount. I think it's really cool. What's the vibe like over there from their side? Like how are they finding this sort of futuristic movement towards like a decentralized currency as the main means of payment in the country?
Yeah, well, I think Stacy and Max have been doing a great job at the Bitcoin office, advising the president. I think they recognize that Bitcoin is the best money around, and they want to be the Bitcoin country. And I think that will come with a lot of benefits for the country in the future. The same way it was for Switzerland to run themselves as the financial capital of the world and attract all of these capital markets and banks and companies and businesses. I think El Salvador has a chance to do the same, but for the Bitcoin economy. And it's really interesting to coming back to Europe. Also see places like Luxembourg, recognizing Bitcoin as the strongest money around and putting some of their sovereign wealth into it. So I think it's inevitable, and I hope to see also other places following trend. El Salvador is just the pioneer.
Yeah. I want to ask a question specifically about the UK. I don't know how much like you guys work with the UK. Obviously, there's loads of chat about the wealthy individuals in the UK kind of moving out and stuff. Is that a lot of like? Do you get a lot of traffic from UK kind of wealthy UK people wanting to kind of move their citizenship somewhere else? And have you seen a spike like semi recently in the past kind of like year, 2 years?
Yeah, definitely, especially as topics like global taxation come into the public sphere or come into the public discussion. Global taxation is something that in the US is very popular. You have to pay taxes as a US citizen globally, no matter where you live. And it's something that it's starting to get discussed in Europe. France just passed a proposal for the 2026 budget to tax French citizens on their global income, no matter where they live. And it is something that, UK citizens are also afraid of. And, this applies not only to the British who have already left the country to other places that might be, more tax friendly, but also for those who are still in the country and they don't want or they can't leave, but they want to, hedge their options. They want to diversify their passport portfolio and not depend on only one country. And they decide to acquire a second passport to protect from new policies like global taxation on their citizenship.
Mm-hmm. You must see like loads of sort of, I mean, you'll probably have data on this as well, I assume, internally, but you probably see loads of flows, right? Like, is there a certain trend that you guys are looking at in terms of like who's moving where, like from where to where? Like, is there a certain country that's number one for people heading into, or like, can you track that stuff?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, no, I would say in terms of moving out of Europe, most people, are going to the UAE. Many people are still going to the US. And then from the programs that we work with, I would say, the Caribbean programs, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, raise the most capital. And then El Salvador, is also one of the most popular programs right now, although, at a higher price point. So it is, less people, but more capital per person. So I would say those are the main destinations. Quoting Balaji on a recent tweet, I think the trend is New York City to Miami, and then London to Dubai, and then Tokyo to Singapore, and those are becoming sort of the new capitals of the world. So I would say the London to Dubai side of things represents a broader trend, like I was saying, with the Swiss bank, 100 years in Switzerland, and now they're opening an office in Abu Dhabi. And I think many European folks, that's the destination that they're considering.
No, it makes complete sense. I mean, I'm seeing it in like friends I know as well. Like, especially this influx of people to Dubai, mainly like crypto bros and like agency people as well.
Yeah. I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a question on what was it like? actual how you kind of market to these people. Obviously, like you have a pretty good following on X, so does Citizen X. Is that like an acquisition strategy? Where is it like word of mouth? I assume is probably quite high. It's almost like a bit of a like if you're like a boutique like PE firm, right? Like a lot of the LPs and investors are probably like from word of mouth mostly. Is that the kind of main acquisition strategy, or do they come through X? Obviously, that you can have a big audience and therefore tap into a lot of people on X. What's the strategy for you guys?
Yeah, I would say we have been quite fortunate to be able to rely on word of mouth mainly. Many people have found us through X. Also, our CMO, Katie, like I said, she has been building Plan B Passport for over 6 years before getting acquired. So, she also has quite a big following on X. And like I said, we have been, really fortunate to rely on word of mouth, referrals from our own customers, and then partnerships, with professionals like family offices, wealth managers, tax advisors. So, if anyone who deals with this sort of clients wants to partner with us, we are, super happy to set up a referral program, referral structure with them, and those are, mainly our go-to-market strategies.
You'd love to see
Awesome
it.
stuff.
You'd love to see it. Well, we're fresh out of time. It was so good to have you on the European Technology Network, Alex, and keep us posted with how things go.
Wicked business.
Thank you very much for having me.
All good, man. Anytime. Have a
Good
good
stuff.
one. Enjoy the rest of Spain.
Great to meet you.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Super
That
interesting.
is-
I've never
that
heard
is
of a
a
business like that.
sick
And now I know that
business.
I need to somehow get 100 grand together and get myself a passport. Trying to get an Irish one at the moment.
What's the cheapest passport was in Africa for 100k.
Yeah, it was a
Do you
dual
want to
island or
drop
something,
a cool
north.
million on where was it? What was the passport that was the best?
Is it the Caribbean?
I don't know.
The Caribbean raised the most capital.
But yeah, you can drop a cool kind of like 7 figures on a passport. Fair
that.
play. What a wicked business. I bet the margins are like seriously
I
good.
think the
And, like,
Irish
the guys just
passport-
probably traveling around, like going to these cool places. Super cool.
I think the Irish passport is one of the most.
Yeah, the Irish is
ones.
pretty high up. Yeah, it's
I
pretty
can get
high
one
up there.
I'm,
can get one.
I've got Irish heritage.
Dude,
I mean, I know everyone does, but
congratulations.
thanks, man.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that. in.
Let's talk about Salmon's clapback at Brad Gertzter's podcast.
This has been doing the rounds.
Dodgy stuff, because actually, who had a really good take on this, which was quite funny? Our main man, Alex McDonald, he was like, the visible gulp here from Brad as he realised he pisses off Sam is hilarious.
You don't want to piss Sammer off.
You do. Well, he's just like, sell my shares. Like, no, you can sell your shares. Like, I'll find you.
Yeah, he's like, I'll connect you with a buyer.
Yeah.
Which is like, so some people, I was chatting about with a few of the guys the other night about this, like what people's thoughts are. People were saying that it's not, it's a simple question. He should answer it in, a simple.
I don't know if he answered it in the best way possible.
But he's reacted. It's like a knee-jerk reaction, I think. And obviously,
The guy clearly didn't get enough sleep.
No, he definitely didn't get enough sleep, and that's fine. I mean, I can imagine that, Sam Altman probably doesn't get too much sleep consistently. But, the specific quote was like, first of all, we're doing well more revenue than that. Second of all, Brad, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer. Altman said, prompting laughs from Nadella, which is quite funny. He goes, enough. I think there are a lot of people who would love to buy OpenAI shares. And, he kind of tries to fight back a bit, like, including myself, like, just interjected. But I think that it's a fair question to ask, right? When they've got pledging over a trillion in spend commits, and I guess public figures. I'm not sure how they got the number, but the revenues are around 13 billion. Like Sam could just be like, oh no, they're not around 13 billion. Like they're this. Like yes, it's a private company, but I don't think you need to be.
I feel like the answer was
swatted
like,
off
you've got
like
a
that.
ton of people wanting to know, like, because obviously their spend is huge, right? And like, there's all these questions whether they can kind of like actually create the value and all this kind of stuff. And are they burning too much? All of that kind of fun stuff. I guess he's probably like getting like fed up about it, but he has a duty to kind of say,
Dude, it's like a small thing to you get fed up about it. Fair, like it would kind of piss him off. That's fair enough. But like it doesn't have to like, I don't know. I think it appears like he's hiding something more.
Maybe.
If he's going to clap back in an angry way. But what I did like, what I thought was pretty aura farming and gangster was kind of like, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer. So it's like, regardless of the question.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he could have said a nicer thing, or he could have said the right thing, in my opinion, the right thing, which was like, you know, kind of tell everyone what they want to know, and then say that you know, I can find a buyer if you want.
And it's a private company, like he has every
shares.
right to keep, you know, he could just say
It's
like,
true.
hey,
If
we're
jokes-
not going to answer that right now.
Satya was just sitting there like laughing.
He's such a gangster, I love him so much.
He was just chilling like.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't decide if I like it or I don't like it. Either way, super interesting. And then also, so much drama for poor old Sama recently. If we can bring up where was it? The Musk and Sama conversation. This is quite interesting. I mean, those two love going at it, and I kind of love watching them go at it as well.
Well, people were saying that they had, like, obviously, Musk, Sama's kind of playing the same playbook as Musk was playing, in the fact that he is saying all these like completely outlandish things and saying they're going to build this, and promising the world. And until he backs himself and actually does the thing, like, you know, I guess no one's going to believe him like 100% totally.
Yeah.
Whereas like Musk can kind of do that because he's already done this stuff. Like he's already delivered on a lot of promises and made a ton of shareholders like a ton of money. So he has the ability to, you know, say these outlandish things that might not, you know, that might be a big bet, but he's already backed himself once or many times before,
Yeah,
and it's
3 or 4.
played positively, right? Whereas Sama is in the same position and he's playing the same playbook, but has he fulfilled on the promises yet? No. Which is fine, like that's absolutely fine. But I think Musk is kind of like, why are you playing like the same playbook as me?
Yeah. I think he loves the attention as well.
Of course
Musk
he does.
And
everyone, not everyone loves Musk, but like in the tech scene, like, you know, you gotta like Musk.
No, yeah, of course, he's done amazing things. I think it's funny. I think the drama is quite hilarious. And for those who haven't seen, like, a super quick explanation, but Sam Altman tweets out a tale in 3 acts. There's 3 photos. We're showing you one of them, and it's essentially him refunding his Roadster, his Tesla Roadster that he ordered, and he then goes to email saying like, "Hey, like I actually want this refunded," and then, you know, the email address that he replies it to is no longer active. So he's kind of like, and then he comments under that, I really was excited for the car. And I understand delays, but 7.5 years has felt like a long time to wait, which is super fair. Also quite funny, Jack Altman comes in and goes, you can't be worrying about 50K like this. And it's that screenshot of Sam Altman, whether we burn 500 million, 5 billion, or 50 billion a year, I don't care. And Sam Altman comes back and says, little brother energy is the worst. Quite funny to watch like some family dynamics there as one of the giants.
Again, Mr. Alex McDonald had a good tweet, 67K views. He screenshots his order of a Cybertruck and goes quote tweets Sama and goes, almost my 6-year anniversary waiting for my Cybertruck.
No, I think I saw that. Yeah, I dropped some.
Which is obviously quite gangster.
Cool. Yeah, let's get this off and we can get ready for our next guest. We have Oliver joining the show after his promotion.
To GP, partner to GP.
Partner to general partner.
Straight after they've launched their Fund 2, $88 million pre-seed.
You'll have to see it. You'll have to see it. It just must be a non-stop party over there, in a good way, in a good working way, of course.
Yeah, good stuff.
They're doing God's work over there at Concept Ventures. We are bringing Oliver live onto the show as we speak. I think we actually have him coming into the studio right now. It's celebrations all around. Here we go. We've got Oliver in the studio. Oliver, can you hear us?
Hey guys, how you doing? Yes, I can hear you well.
Amazing stuff, mate. A quick congratulations from both Luke and I on the promotion to general partner. You love to see it. We were just talking about the amazing things you guys are doing over there, and it seems like it is just non-stop right now. Firstly, how's your day going? How's the announcement? How's the change? Is this day one, or have you been?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a long time coming. We've had a pretty frantic year with the Fund 2 launch, and things are in a really exciting place for us at the moment. And we shared a bit on that last month. I guess behind the scenes, yeah, long time coming maybe. Like we've been sort of having various discussions, but yeah, excited to share it. The news obviously it doesn't really materially change much. Same work, same job of finding the best teams, meeting them as early as possible, and yeah, looking to partner with them for the long run. But no, look, appreciate having you guys having me on. It's been an awesome launch. I know we had a quick chat the weeks before you guys went live, and yeah, seem to be making a bit of a splash. So congrats to you too.
We appreciate the kind words, my man. We appreciate the kind words. It's been a blast. We've had fun with it, and we will continue to have fun with it as we go forward. Straight away, just off the bat, like for me and our viewers that might not be too familiar with VC, what is the shift? You mentioned still same job. There are obviously, I assume, some elements that have changed, but what does that shift from partner to general partner mean in VC?
I guess it's like, it's very firm specific and depends upon the type of organization in which you reside. Like obviously there's solo GP firms, there's multi-stage firms with many storied partners and certain kind of ceilings that are hard to get through. Or there's also kind of firms where we probably sit somewhere in the middle of a bit more of a kind of fluid structure where everyone really mucks in and owns various parts of the business. I've been with Reese and Jeff since day one. I joined as first employee back 6 years ago now when we were in the very early innings of this journey. And so that really meant we got to take on a bunch of everything from sourcing and how we build a CRM out through to, how do we actually raise money? How do we build a website? How do we convince any founders to take our money all the way through to portfolio support, exits, DPI? Like there's the full stack kind of investing role. I think at a smaller firm like we kind of were and still are on this journey, there's been a ton of opportunity for not just myself but the broader team as well to get involved in a lot of these functions. I guess to step up from partners to GP, what does that materially look like? I think it's kind of looking a lot at being point person, custodian of the capital that ILPs entrust us with first and foremost. So being able to kind of contribute in meaningful ways to those fundraising discussions, but obviously also leading on new deals, new investments and relationships with founders and kind of seeing those through from beginning all the way to the end. And yeah, we're still in the early innings of our own journey here, but have now been doing a lot more of those kind of activities over the last few months. Far less time in the day than maybe kind of 6 years ago when I joined, but yeah, it's a nice problem to have, I suppose.
It is heating up. We love to see it.
It is. Can you give us a bit of a rundown of Concept Ventures, Fund 2, what you guys are like looking at, and kind of like the general consensus or the general intro, I guess, of Concept Ventures?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, we started the firm with the belief that pre-seed and the earlier stages of investing required a slightly different experience for founding teams. So if you're out in the kind of in the US, there's a lot of ex-operators, ex-eutncom founders, people who have a lot of capital and expertise and network that they can support with. In Europe, we're more of a nascent kind of ecosystem back when we were getting started. And we felt back then that first 12 to 18 months of company journeys, you need a different kind of partner to navigate that. There's some amazing, incredible firms out there who are going to be great at taking you from 3, 5, 10 million ARR through to IPO and exit, hiring you exec board, doing geo expansion. That's not really us, and we're kind of upfront about that with our teams. We are heavily focused on the people, and we can talk a little bit about our own kind of assessment lens. But our Fund 2, which we launched last month, is $88 million, dedicated only to pre-seed capital. We define this as kind of first money in, generally rounds of under $4 million or less. That's kind of our sweet spot, and we want to be leading or co-leading those, and that's kind of our real sort of differentiation or the lens that we focus on. We believe in doing far less but doing it a lot better and being kind of specialists at one stage of company life cycles. And that's been a great journey to be on, and we've had some good success so far, but still a lot to prove.
Yeah, no. Speaking of good success, 11 Labs pre-seed, you were involved in that. How did you guys find them? What's that journey working with them been like up until, now they're one of the darling childs of European tech? How do, for our listeners out there, maybe up and coming in VC, how do they find How do they find the 11 labs? How
They
did you,
found their own 11 labs.
where'd you get that?
Yeah, I think obviously first and foremost, incredibly grateful to have been on a journey like that, to work with some generational founders, to learn from them, and to see something like that materialize in front of your eyes is kind of a maybe once, twice, hopefully 5 times in a career experience to see. I think ultimately, we don't try to like really pitch too much of a sourcing lens or differentiation on the market. Like, we know that there are various pools, that we're very interested in kind of academia and looking after the kind of top institutions, that Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, UCL, Edinburgh, these kind of places, and now kind of as we expand across Europe, ETH Zurich, etc., are going to have. We met Matti and Piotr via angels, so introduced by a couple of angels in the European ecosystem. They had, as they will have mentioned on their own kind of podcasts and journeys, like it wasn't the most consensus competitive original round, right? There was 30, 40 conversations that took place and a number of passes. I think for us, and kind of back to that kind of people lens, and what we're really looking for is not just, oh, do these people have great backgrounds, and can you do a quick reference call and check the LinkedIn of them. Like, it's actually more of a fundamental understanding about why these people, why this mission, and why they've chosen one another to work with. And that's where we're really trying to dig in and spend most of our time when assessing teams. So Matti and Piotr were childhood friends. They grew up in Poland, had moved to the UK, went their separate ways into their respective career paths, but came back together and had been tinkering and building on the side, and founded once again. And I think it was a lot of that deep technical DNA, but a shared sense of mission, direction, and this story about them uncovering. And I actually grew up in south of Spain and was at the cinema quite often and watching these badly dubbed films or things with VOS kind of subtitles over the bottom, and that was a real problem. Now, whether that was a problem in 2022 that people understood that could be a multi-billion-dollar market, I think not many people doing top-down kind of desk work could have seen that. And we don't try and pretend we're smarter than the market. What we do try to do is lean in and find that exceptional talent as early as possible, and go with them in whichever way direction might come next. And look, 11 was a relatively kind of straightforward journey in terms of like the product vision and things playing out how they had seen it, at least from that kind of like 0 to 1 phase. But many of the other companies and great teams that we work with, they go through a process of iteration, of hypothesis testing, of having to go back to the drawing board, using us as thought partners, and understanding like, well, actually maybe the thing we thought to be true in the direction we wanted to go down isn't playing out quite as we thought. But we've underwritten them, and a great kind of team will find the next place to go. And yeah, we can talk about that a bit more in terms of trends or themes that we're seeing as well across the European ecosystem.
Yeah, I want to dive deeper into like the personal aspects, and I think like that's how Concept differentiates itself, as you mentioned. Like, it's the deep kind of like looking specifically into the teams and the people that are starting to build and getting them early. One question, one side of the question would be like, what do you guys see as in 11? Like, it's obviously easy to say, we saw this amazing kind of like these two amazing founders, but like, was there anything like specific that was like, okay, these guys are gonna like kill it, and the products all kind of ticked all the boxes, and then so did the team. And then also like just more generally, like when you're going into these conversations with very early founders, are you trying to kind of compare like what you kind of saw in like the guys over at 11 to different founders? Like, are you trying to do that, or are you trying to stay very separate? Like, what's the vibe?
Yeah, let me try. I mean, look, if we knew, and if the European market knew, and if there was like some hard science to this stuff, I obviously would have put the entire fund into that first round, right? Like seeing what that company's gone on to do done. And I think a lot of other firms would have said similar, right? I think what we are, and I'm in particular very conscious of, is this kind of confirmation bias and not over indexing on what has worked previously. I think it was very much a moment in time, that investment, like there was no AI hype. It was pre-GPT moment. We were talking, it wasn't GPUs and transformers that everybody's was obsessed with back then. It was kind of actually maybe 6-7 months before that took off. And I think that's been a kind of consistent theme for us, is really, if you're leaning into the great people and the great talent coming out of companies, self-selecting, putting their hands up to quit their jobs, leave, go start something new. That's where we want to be meeting people just before or during that process. I think you end up then discovering some really exciting end areas that they go into. For example, we've been early investors in Arendite, which is in the kind of defense space as well. We were doing this before. They raised kind of a 9 mil seed from Index last year, and they've been very focused on this kind of human-machine teaming problem, so how we can have disparate hardware connected up to one central system to control. Nobody would have seen this as a category per se back when we backed them. However, the events that have taken place since, and will continue to take place, have now made that a materially kind of strong tailwind that team's playing for. And ultimately, that's why we run larger portfolios than your average seed fund. They're going to take 12, 20 bets throughout a portfolio. We've got 40 to 50 companies, and I think ultimately there's also a high failure rate. That's the reality of pre-seed. That's the reality of YC, inception stage, angel investing. It's a lot more risky, but that's also reflected in the entry price and stage. And I think we can talk about how that's changing and how the market might be maturing and prices inflating and round size, etc. But as a whole, we feel consistently leaning into the team. They're the one consistent thing that are going to endure along the company's journey in theory and in hope. And one of the main reasons for teams falling over and failing within those first 3 years is co-founder breakups. And so we really, really obsess over this dynamic and why these people have picked one another and the relative organic nature of that.
Yeah, I loved that there was something you mentioned there, and it was like this early round size inflation, right? Pre-seed and seed that we are seeing it get to, averaging, I don't know, you probably have better data on this than I do off the top of my head, but it's like, 10 mil plus is now kind of like a standard, even pre-seed, right? Like I was chatting to a guy on the phone last night, like he's mentioning one of his boys just did 2 million at 14, in SF, and it's just like, what is it like an influx of venture teams like sort of all swarming this AI space that is driving the price of these rounds up? Or because like we're seeing effects further downstream as well, right? Like the round sizes in general are just getting larger.
I mean, look, this is a dynamic that we're pretty careful of and try to give our founders good steering and guidance on, and it's very, very hard to sort of move away from that. Ultimately, we try to tap out of rounds that are too large and where there's a fundamental mismatch from where this company in the risk level is and where these like early bets are doing. Like a 5 on 25 is not really of interest for us. It doesn't work with our fund model, and ultimately like that's somebody else's game to play with a fund size that can absorb that risk. What we tend to look for with these is thinking about like that core hypothesis that needs to be got and tested. How can we do everything in our power to use the runway and do this in the shortest amount of time, and then get back out to market and look for a seed or Series A, depending on whatever makes most sense. I think the biggest challenge is when you've got too much of a high watermark on that fundraise. And if you're coming in and saying, hey, look, we want to raise a 25 mil valuation, and then we've actually misexecuted, we've overhired, we paid too much for candidates, we haven't focused on the cultural artifacts and ensuring that this team are like really gelling it in the earliest days and we're getting the best people we possibly can. Then you go out to raise that next round and you say, well, yeah, look, we probably need 10, and because of dilution, we probably want it on about 50 mil valuation, and people are going to say, well, you're pre-revenue, or you've got 100K in pilot contracts. So I think that's sort of a lot of the challenge. Whereas I think the next round investors are going to be a little more forgiving if you've been able to execute against a more sustainable first raise. And I think a lot of repeat founders that we speak to and people understand these dynamics. I think at times people can get excited and taken into the larger realms and more flashy kind of valuations, but at the end of the day, none of it matters. It's a vanity metric. What is most important is building fundamentally strong companies, products people love, revenue and contracts that are going to endure, and incredible teams and cultures. And that's one thing that Europe has plenty of, and increasingly more so with these breakout companies who are going to produce more and more talent over the next decade. So we're incredibly optimistic on all fronts relating to that.
Yeah, nice.
I was going to ask about just the European market. Like we feel like we're talking to a ton of people now in the European ecosystem and other ecosystems looking in as well. And the consensus is that everyone's super bullish on what's going on, and there's this kind of like vibe shift basically.
Yes.
And so that's where we see ETN playing, and we can dive into that if we want. But where do you guys see yourselves in this kind of like hype cycle, I guess, in terms of what Europe is doing?
No, I think what Europe's doing, what the US is doing, and what's happening at large out there is like all somewhat related, I believe. I think that in the 6 years I've been doing this, like there's like the facts are materially different. The amount of capital in this ecosystem, the amount of brilliant founders here, operators with experience, people who've taken from teams from 1 to 10, 10 to 100, hired and managed, done expansion, like that stuff just didn't exist in the same ways that it did back then. So those are all great fundamentals. I think when we look at the kind of round size debate, or actually like kind of like late stage venture to liquidity IPO, and then obviously the AI frenzy and hype, like those are other things and factors that are contributing. I think I don't know what you guys made of it, but the Sam Altman, Brad Gershner sort of podcast moment, which I thought was quite an interesting one. I thought that was like somewhat telling of, hey, trust me, like we're going to work this out, versus like being able to chart the way. And that maybe that's an unfair thing to say. And like he's consistently proven that he can execute against that. However, I do think there's fundamental, like 1.2 trillion in capex commitments to revenue. It's like 2 orders of magnitude off, right? That needs to be reconciled over the next few years. Otherwise, like markets are going to really, really punish them. And so I think directionally super bullish on the sort of AI stories that are planning out. If we stopped model advancements today and went to every industry out there and applied the efficiency gains across workflows, across reducing headcount if it is, or increasing kind of productivity from the employee base, I think there's literally trillions of value that can be created. However, I also think there's a lot of the fundamental investments that have been made are on the premise or assumption that this just continues up and to the right forever and AGI is imminent. And so I think there's somewhere between that. There's going to be market corrections. Like, we are not public market investors. We do not know whether this is going to be a week, a month, a year, a decade, but things feel a little frothy on both ends. Back to the kind of pre-seed point though, it's always a brilliant time for us to be meeting people. I think as the market gets a little bit more inflated, more of the traditional late stage guys come earlier or upstream in order to avoid the competitive dynamics at seed and A. That's where things kind of inflate, but we just stick to our guns. We stick to our fundamentals. The thing we get out of bed every day to do, which is the 0 to 1, first 12, 18 months of company life cycles. And especially we think there's we meet the great teams in those downturns, in those kind of less favorable market conditions, because that really separates the ZERP type founders, the people who are like, oh, if I can go raise 2 on 20 and 3 conversations and go like give this a go for a year. That's a very different sort of mentality to coming in and building like an iconic, enduring company, of which hopefully we're seeing plenty of emerge from Europe.
Yeah, I remember seeing it was like the first time the term was coined, maybe like a year ago, or like these like suicide rounds where it's just like you're just raising it, like you just from the off you're just screwed, basically, because there's just no way you're ever going to be able to.
It's like the major heist.
Yeah, I mean, I also thought that was kind of maybe the case when I was looking at some of those OpenAI rounds over the last couple of years. I was like, wow, like how are people going to be like, these are creative? But then they grew into it's just at the end of the day, it's growth stories. It's like it's pace, it's how quick these teams can build and sell. And I think, the ones who can keep up with that are like, well rewarded. But at the same time, that's the sort of like game of venture. If you can present yourself as somebody who's going to go on that journey, it's often great for the founders, but they will get found out eventually.
I'm not sure if like we were literally talking about the interview with Sama earlier and like his clapback. I agree with what you're saying. I think it was a little bit like knee-jerk reaction-y. It's like, I know it's a private company, but like you could have answered it and told him no in a nicer way. Maybe you didn't have to like aura farm.
Well, it just showed of like tensions and maybe some fractures there, like the underlying.
Yeah, it seemed frictional. He seemed stressed. He seemed on edge slightly at the question. Yeah. He was like, just prone to reaction.
I want to finish on one question that's like a little bit, I guess, left field. I want to ask just generally about like VC, and for the listeners out there who might want to be getting into VC, like what's your like advice to kind of land a job in VC and kind of succeed? Do you have to be like really good at modeling? You have to be really good. Obviously, like it depends where you are in the stack, right? But what's your?
I think at the end of the day, it's got to. Sorry to interrupt. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's very dependent on who you are, your interests, like how does that align? Like back 6 years ago, I'd been working in a couple of startups, one in the crypto space, and I think like a lot of my interest was just genuine in being close to founders, in being excited of that like messy kind of chaotic stage of company building where there wasn't, and then that's what spoke to me. And I like people, I like understanding them, their incentives, their differentiation, and also like why they're doing this and making it their life's work. So that felt to me pretty well suited to pre-seed and being able to help identify these great teams early. Now, if you are coming, I mean, look, I think if the old like tropes of kind of like consulting, MBA banker turned VC, maybe that still works. That kind of like Series A plus and growth and some of these other places, and there are many firms and partners and employees who have those backgrounds. I would say though, like my own reflection is my journey was like a bit of a running the gauntlet. Like we wouldn't have. Us as a fund, we never would have kind of imagined we'd get to the stage and sort of maturity that we're at now. And I say like that's a pretty risky path for people to go on. If you're young and have nothing to lose and are genuinely excited by that journey, like why you could do that, and there are potentially other places out there like that. But for the lion's share of people, like you probably can't take on that level of risk if you are a bit more mature in career or have families and responsibilities, mortgage, etc. So maybe going back to that kind of startup operator route, embedding yourself in this like really rich and vibrant ecosystem. We've got AI for law firms. If you are a lawyer trying to transition out, that could be a great landing kind of pad to go and work at something along the lines of Legora. If you've been working like creative or media and you think 11 Labs and something in that world would be interesting, and you've got the right work ethic and you want to go and like really actually build something of meaning here, it feels like a great stepping stone to then eventually come to the VC side. Like if it had taken longer and things would work out differently, I think that's the path I would have definitely gone on to eventually kind of come back to the VC side of things. But yeah, people often like want to talk about that, and general advice is like what worked for me in my moment of time. I don't know if that's very like generally applicable, but would say, yeah, follow your instincts and passion, and then also try to get that startup experience and build a great foundational network, because yeah, that's a lot of the skill set that you're going to require when in the job.
We'd love to hear it. Words of wisdom from Oliver on getting into VC. Thank you so much, Oliver, for joining us today. It's been an absolute ride having you guys on. It's been so fun following on the journey as well. And congrats again on the move to GP.
Thank you guys, really appreciate it. I need to get you some merch sent, but your shelves are looking a bit full. So yeah, let me know if I can save on the posters.
I appreciate it. We can make some stuff.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Cheers, mate.
All right, lads.
Great to have you on.
Take care.
Thanks.
See you soon.
Well,
bye.
We have Edward coming in live, I'm pretty sure.
Is he
How are
in?
we looking? We are about to jump
Main
straight
guest,
into our next
tagging
guest.
in.
We've
Let's
got
go,
Edward
Edward.
Woodford, the founder and CEO of Zero Hash. Can you hear us, Edward? Can you hear us and see us?
I can hear you.
You can hear us. Okay, amazing. Sorry to keep you waiting for a minute or two there. We were just wrapping up. Edward, you are live on the European Technology Network. Welcome to the show. We are honoured to have you here. We are excited for you to share the exciting news that Zero Hash has put out the other day. We were talking about it earlier, but maybe for the viewers, could you maybe give an introduction on yourself, the company, and then we can move on to the amazing news for Europe as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me. You can probably tell from my accent that I'm originally from the UK, but have been building Zero Hash in the US since 2017. And we are a crypto, stablecoin, and tokenization platform enabling groups such as Morgan Stanley, Stripe, Franklin Templeton, BlackRock to build in this new technology. And so the announcement that we had that we're really excited about is as we've secured our MiCA authorization to serve European clients.
Let's give one out for the European clients. You love to see it.
Yeah, getting through that regulation. Let's go.
Huge.
Yeah, so really a focus on scaling Zero Hash to being that one-click access or one integration to the world. And that's kind of part of our broader strategy. We're very, very well known here in the US and other parts of the world. And I see all these sorts of decks with the Zero Hash of Europe or Zero Hash of X. We actually want to be the Zero Hash of Europe. Very, very excited to access 450 million people. There's been a huge amount of clarity. Europe is a major user of stablecoins, so there's a huge amount of tailwinds for the European market that we're now able to access in a homogenized way.
Yeah. Do you want to maybe ask about the MiCA stuff? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right.
MiCA.
Everyone pronounces it differently. I mean, I have Dutch colleagues who pronounce it slightly differently. I can tell you what, I pronounce it Mika. But there we go.
Okay, amazing.
What
Let's
is
go
the
with
Mika?
that. Yeah, we're just
what
trying to
is the
work
Mika?
out what that is. If you could
Yeah,
share.
absolutely. So really, Mika was it's effectively a framework that you can access the whole of the European Union through one licensing structure. So the way it works is that you get licensed in one jurisdiction for zero hash, that is the Netherlands, and effectively that license is passported throughout the European Union. So effectively, it's a minimum standard that is set throughout the European Union, and you can effectively actively solicit customers in all of those countries. So previously, before Mika, there was not a homogenized framework. There was ambiguity as to exactly how that would be structured. You would see companies get many, many different VASPs in many different markets. Regulators would view this differently. So this is a big step forward. Like any regulation, it's not perfect, but it's a major step forward. Often referenced here in the US as kind of as a reference for clarity around what you can and can't do, particularly for our business. We service some of the largest financial services companies in the world. They need clarity in order to enter the space of crypto, stable coins, and tokenized assets. And this framework allows that to take place. So you should see this acceleration in Europe, in particular, us taking our US clients that have European operations live. So for example, Interactive Brokers will be going live in Europe for their European customers. But also more importantly as well, is servicing European banks, fintechs, payment companies. For example, last week we announced WorldPay, one of the largest payment companies in Europe, to be launching merchant settlement with stablecoins through Zero Hash. So it's part of this kind of broader narrative of clarity that companies can now enter the space with confidence.
Guys, this is like a validation ticket to say, like, don't worry, guys, it's all good. In a way, it's like we can.
Yeah, it's really clarity from a regulator without this sense of, okay, can I operate in Germany but not France because the German regulator takes a slightly different view. It's really a homogenized framework such that we can give confidence to our partners that we can operate and access all 450 million persons in the European Union.
Okay, cool. I got you. I want to ask about what is like the education piece for consumer? Are you marketing to consumers at all? Because I just to give you some context, I was in a meeting earlier before the live show, and essentially we started talking about crypto and stable coins and stuff, and like they weren't that interested. Like they just didn't really care for them. And like I think it's super interesting with the education piece about this, and I think that's one of our jobs as ETN is to bring like more education towards crypto. Can you give us like a pretty like high level summary of like stable coins generally in crypto and how it kind of all works? Obviously, like that's a pretty hard question to answer, but talk to us like we're like
no, don't worry. So I'm actually releasing a book in the coming days called Stable Coins for Babies. So
you're the perfect guy to answer that question.
There'll be perfect for babies and people that want to learn the basics pretty quickly. It's less than 100 words all in. So if that doesn't quite solve the answers, I mean, I think it's a great question. And look, when you live and breathe this stuff like I have for the last 8 years, there is always a risk that you become effectively like an acolyte for the technology. The technology has to provide value. And so we really view stablecoins and blockchains as a whole as a rewiring of the financial services ecosystem. And I'm not the only one saying this, right? If you look at Larry Fink and people that were largely skeptical about this space have really started to absorb that. So I'll give you one example, right? So one of our products is account funding with stablecoins. If you're in the EU and want to fund your US brokerage account, that can take days and it can cost you 150 basis points. Stablecoins allow you to fund your account instantly, real time, anytime, anywhere. That is incredibly powerful. Tokenized infrastructure can provide the ability for fewer intermediaries. So if you think about the cost of moving money around the world, it can reduce that. And that really matters. If you can reduce cost, it's really important to a lot of people, right? So if you can pay somebody in the Philippines instantly for their work that they've done for you on, for example, Fiverr or Upwork or any freelancer, that means that those people don't have to take loans. right? So there's a huge change, a cultural change and shift. But sometimes they say that this technology becomes mainstream when we stop talking about the technology, right? We're not talking about how the internet works right now. And so it's fundamentally going to be in the background. It's going to be the way that we all interact with it, but in an abstracted, simplified way. But we're still in the early kind of evolution of this technology. But that really is when it becomes mainstream.
Got it. That makes complete sense. Where can we send people? Where can we point people in? I know we only had a short time today. We should do this for a longer session. We were chatting with Katie the other night, and I'm happy that we managed to turn it around quickly, but we should definitely get something in for a full 20-minute segment. Where can we direct our viewers, our listeners, fans of ETN? Where can they go?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can look at our website, just zerohash.com, and our Twitter or X page, zerohashx. So yeah, feel free to reach out.
And we'll be buying the book for sure. It's launching tomorrow, right?
It's launching probably early next week at this point.
Okay.
But
we will get that on stream.
Yeah. Well, congrats on that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the big milestone.
100 pages. Edward, we love it. Thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to getting
Good luck with it all. Great to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Quick word on our sponsors, Jack and Jill. Don't miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want and search thousands of new jobs every hour to find job opportunities worth seeing. Go to jackandjill.ai and is AND, not the symbol.
Let me tell you guys how to make your workspace extraordinary. Every day it's with Fora. Work from home, at work, private offices, whole floors, or dedicated desks. Fora offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes, small teams, big teams, medium teams, team sizes in between that as well.
And cola bottles. So we started off with a Dimmy, and now we've got another Dimmy.
It's double Dimmy today.
Double Dimmy day.
We had Dimmy 1, Dimmy 2, and we couldn't be more excited about it.
Dimmy, can you hear us?
Not sure.
Sounds
Look
like
with our
that's a
producer.
no.
Are we good, Ola, or we got to sort some stuff?
Hey, Dimmy.
Dimitrios, can you hear us? Oh, you can.
Yeah, I can hear you well. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, my friend.
Perfect.
Amazing. How are we?
Great.
Thank you so much for joining the European Technology Network. You are actually our second Dimitrios we've had on today. We started with a Dimitrios, and we're also finishing with a Dimitrios, which is a fun day for all involved. Dimitrios, can you tell us what is new in your world?
Well, I would say the defense industry right now is definitely at an inflection point, especially the European defense industry. It's becoming more and more clear there is going to be a giant infrastructure project ahead of us, especially in Europe, but also in other sovereign nations or nations that want to protect their territorial integrity. The proof point for that is all the recent drone incursions that have happened, especially in Central and Eastern Europe. Like if you have nations like Denmark or Germany or Norway, like really wealthy nations, not being able to guarantee a safe airspace, this for me means we have a giant infrastructure project ahead of us. I don't believe that project is going to be a few years. I think that project is going to be, it's going to span over the next decade. And it has to do on how we protect our airspace, how we revamp the protection of critical infrastructure, how we protect our borders from new type of threats, and especially from drones. That's a topic, an opportunity where we are uniquely positioned as a company. So we see some hope in this crisis for companies like us.
Awesome. Thanks for that. I want to jump in about an X that Dylan tweeted not even that long ago, today at 9 a.m. Jericho fuses any field sensor into a single central brain, drones, cameras, field equipment, one picture, portable edge intelligence deployed now. Can you give us your explanation of the products that you guys are building? And then we can kind of go down there.
Yes, we usually pronounce the company Dilian. It comes from the island of Delos. That was kind of like the NATO alliance of the center of the NATO alliance of the classical ancient times. Now, we are a defense company. So defense companies are very different, and we are a solution provider. We're we want to become a prime. We provide a full solution. So discussing about products does not make much sense for a defense company. What makes sense is discussing about customers and solutions. Usually in defense, instead of having very few products, you have very few giant clients and you provide them with huge solutions. So the solutions we provide right now for our clients, the two big clients we have is the Greek army and the civil protection in Greece. The solutions we provide for them is interconnecting vast networks of cameras and radars into a single software brain. Think, for example, for the use case of maritime surveillance or drone protection, you need hundreds of different cameras and radars, maritime radars, air radars, optical cameras, thermal cameras, cameras on drones, cameras on vehicles. You need all of them connected into a single brain, into a single software brain to detect, classify, and engage with potential threats. A giant sensor network. That's our main offering to our clients. Now that entails a bunch of products and devices. One of them is our surveillance tower for very remote locations. We have some of those deployed at very remote locations at the European borders. A second one is our edge computer that plugs on existing manned observation posts and makes them unmanned and automates them. A third one is Jericho, which is kind of a portable racked Pelican case that you can plug cameras, drone controllers, radars in the field, and interconnect them into that single sensor surveillance network. That's our main offering. And these are the three core hardware products that are involved right now in our contracts. The fourth one is the software that ties everything together. We call that StrikeWeb. It's kind of a common software platform on the cloud and on the edge for connecting all those softwares together. And gradually we have started looking into neutralization methods or effectors. So, okay, you detect a potential threat. For example, you detect an incoming drone. How do you neutralize it? The most mature there of the products we are looking for is a software-defined jammer. Effectively, think of it like a very clever pirate radio station to be used against drones. We have already retrofitted that in some of our towers. We have used that in military exercises of NATO member states, at least two. And we have demonstrated our capability not only to detect swarms of drones, but also to neutralize them by jamming their communication or navigation signals. So that's kind of like our roadmap is we believe in defense, you have few clients, you don't have few products or devices. The main solution we provide is a giant surveillance network, which gradually we plan to expand with neutralization effectors.
Yeah, that's absolutely fascinating, and thank you for the rundown. You've been with the founder and CEO of Delian for over 4 years now. Your background though is at Apple as an engineering manager.
Correct.
How did I know I was looking at your LinkedIn the other day, and you were working on autonomous systems at Apple Special Projects Group, the SPG within Apple. How did you go from Apple to Delian?
Yeah, for me, I grew up in Greece, I grew up in Athens, I then studied electrical engineering here. I then moved with a fellowship to study academically in the US. I was lucky enough there to be part of a research group that did world-class research, especially on mobile robotics, GPS-denied navigation, effectively how a drone or a plane or a vehicle, how they can navigate without using GPS.
Right.
I was lucky enough to be part of some world-class publications on that topic. Then I joined Apple. That was back in 2016, where a large wave of roboticists moved from academia to the industry, either to Meta, to Google, to Apple, to Facebook. And I would say I had quite a nice career in the Valley. I enjoyed it a lot. And I'm really proud for the teams I was a member of, the teams I led, the teams I worked with. However, I would say there were two things. Number one, I constantly had a nostalgia for Europe. That's, I think, and there are I believe there are more people like me in the Valley on that aspect. The second thing is that around 2019 and 2020, I got extremely anxious with defense matters in Europe. That was kind of weird at the point. Like no one was discussing defense in Europe when we started the company. Like we started the company in 2021. The bottom line is that I saw some events, especially the war between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Like both countries are at the fringe of the West, so most people did not pay too much attention to it. But there you could clearly see that what happens when a nation that has incorporated drones and all those new technologies in its military dogma meets a nation that has, a legacy army, if you may. You can see the result, and that result is ugly. That scared me a lot. That made me anxious. At the same time, I was seeing like the early steps of Anduril in the valley. So, I realized, okay, if these guys here claim that America, like the US, is falling behind on incorporating new technologies, imagine how bad is the situation in Europe. So that was my motivation. I moved back with my family to Athens in July 21, and I started the company at the end of 21, early 22.
Wow.
I want to ask about the defense market. Obviously, like it's booming at the moment. The money that's kind of flooding in is already way higher than it was in the whole of 2024. Obviously, there's excitement about kind of what you're building. Like, how do you feel that is in like growing your company, and like how do you feel that has an impact on your company, and how can you kind of like take advantage of that as much as possible?
We have set up we are lucky enough in the sense that we have set up a very robust pipeline in a product category that's not that crowded, and on a NATO and EU geography, like Greece, that is also not that crowded. We are lucky enough that we have set up a really strong flywheel and stronghold in that geography and product category. However, we are an international team. Me, myself, I was like for 6 years with Apple in the US. Most of my network is in the US. Our lead software architect, he was 7 years with Facebook. He's a Stanford graduate. Half of our software team is in London. So we see ourselves as a company competing at the world stage. Now is the time for us, and that's where we deploy a lot of the capital we recently raised. We deploy it on expanding abroad. All our schedule from now till January is booked up with is filled up with demonstrations across key European markets, but also key markets in Asia and the Middle East of key allies of our nations. So the goal for us right now is to expand rapidly and building up on the success we already had.
With regards to products itself, like how do what you mentioned earlier is like you have this kind of main product, and the other sort of machinery production stuff that you're doing around that is stemmed from that main product. It's upgrades to it. It's sort of like side like machinery connected to that main product. But how do you go into building new things? Like, is it government contract will put something out, and then you'll say, hey, can we bid for that contract, and then we'll go and build the thing? Or do you guys come up with these yourselves, or is it like, do you seeing problems in a different nation and saying like we need to be prepared for that, so let's build the defense for that? Like, how does the product development cycle work?
Yeah, it's a dark art, and there are trends that are gonna span all across the decade. For example, a trend is that to deal with a lot of these new types of threats, you need to use like many different types of sensors. So having a large network of sensors you can fuse and use to perceive drones, detect drones or vessels or other types of threats, that's something that's gonna be part of any product you develop over the next decade. It's gonna be like a core technology. It's a complex process on how you build a product in this category. Definitely building strong relationships with end users and governments is important. Definitely speaking with people that have served in elite military units from some of the top European and NATO militaries. Definitely that is important. And it's not as simple as, someone puts out a tender and you bid on that tender. It's a much more complex process. It's like a dark art. We would need a dedicated show discussing on that. Yeah. But effectively, it's like 7 processes you run on parallel. Some of them are technological. Some of them are political to an extent. Some of them are operational. They have to do with what are the problems of the end users, what are the news from the ongoing conflicts, what is the intelligence we have on those, etc.
Interesting. Sounds like incredibly complicated, even just to push a product, right? You mean like the political side
Correct.
of things as well must be. How do you
even start
hire for that?
going
Right?
into
Like,
that
do you have
as
to?
well?
Yeah. Do you have to hire somebody whose job it is to manage those relationships? Maybe.
I like to say that like, and I remember that like when I was starting the company is that, you know, the classical advice you get when you, like if you go and read the book like on startups and stuff, it's gonna be like, you know, build something that is software, avoid having operations, avoid manufacturing, avoid compliance, blah, blah, blah. Like a defense company is the exact opposite of that. It's like taking every red flag, every like it's like not following any advice that exists in all those startup on 101 stuff from the 2010s, from the 2010 to 2020. For example, you need manufacturing, you need financing, you need compliance, you need to build government relations, you need marketing. At the end of the day, you know, you sell your products to governments. Governments use taxpayer money for that. You better have a great image about your company. You need software. You need mechanical engineering. You need even, it's not just hardware. You need very peculiar parts of hardware. You may need, for example, RF electronics, which is like, again, it's a dark art on its own. So you need to motivate all these different types of people that come from very different communities, and the possibility of them meeting together under one roof is near zero. Like someone that's good on like government relations or on like policy making, right? With someone that's really good on operations that comes from an elite military unit, with a really good machinist. These are three people that would never meet in real life, right? So how you get all those people aligned? I think that's the secret sauce on building a great defense company. If you want to be a prime, if you want to be a component provider, you don't have to do that. But if you want to be a prime, you better build all those muscles.
And like where, I mean, we kind of asked this question earlier, but like where do you even like start in terms of like, we've spoken before on the show, you know, the advantage of coming into an industry, you know, that you don't have any experience in, right? But it seems like super hard to do that with like, or like 10x, if not 100x harder to do that if you're going in to defense with no, you know, network and no prior experience. Like, where do you like even like start there? Do you have to just reach out to a ton of people? Like, what was the start of like, you know, your company looking like?
Well, I'm an engineer, so I like to approach our problems as an engineer or as a software engineer. So many times, you know, I'm going to start on what's the simplest thing I can do. Let's implement that and let's iterate on it. This does not always work, obviously, but I believe a lot of those things are kind of lost knowledge. It's like lost knowledge on operational excellence and on having the proper processes. It's not some secret rocket science that, you know, it's really hard to acquire. I think it's just a matter of persistence, convincing the right people, inspiring the right people, and moving on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to ask as well. You mentioned like this creating a strong team for like, these three people would never meet. Is what you said. Like getting those people in the room, not making them, but like creating an environment in which they can get on with one another and do good work. This might seem like a bit of a weird question, but like, do you guys do like offsites? Do you do like team bonding stuff? Because like in my mind, I can't see defense companies do that, but maybe I'm just buying into the mantra of like, you know, like defense, like it's just a normal company, right? Like I imagine like you see maybe HR software companies that are Series E or F or whatever, these massive companies, they do big offsites, they do team bonding. Do you have that element at defense companies? Like,
we are 60 plus people right now, and I hope, you know, even when we get like 10 times our size, I hope we don't have to go downward the corporate spiral. I hope we avoid that as much as possible. I use a very non-conventional way of management. I think that's the only way to deal with this reality. Yes, there is a corporate way of doing that, and you need to have billions of euros to blow to do that.
Yeah.
If you go to compete with like Rheinmetall and you just copy Rheinmetall, yeah, obviously you need billions of euros. I believe there is a much more efficient way of doing that. What I look as inspiration is obviously the success of SpaceX against its against the incumbents when it comes to like the launch industry, the space launch industry. But what I take much more inspiration is how the defense industry R&D labs worked in the 60s and the 70s. There is a great book that describes, it's kind of the memoirs of one of the directors at Lockheed Martin's Skunkworks. So in my opinion, it's one of the best books I have read on management. I would advise anyone to read it that works on as a manager or engineering manager on something that's bleeding edge, on something where they have to deal with like many different known unknowns and unknown unknowns, and how they manage risk and how they do that under limited resources. I think like that era of the defense industry, not just in the US, but also in Europe, that's what inspires me a lot. That's where I try to look on, like, how did these guys do it? How did they build, like I was reading the first prototype of a stealth aircraft happened in under a year, effectively, right?
Yeah.
How did they manage to build a prototype that quickly? So I get a lot of inspiration from that era, and I would say less inspiration from the modern B2B software business.
No, it's interesting. I mean, this is a different business as well, right? Like, it has to operate in different ways. We are
at time, I think.
Yeah, we are fresh out of time, unfortunately. This was fascinating. I like how you mentioned branding and marketing as well. No one else has that. I think Max touched on it quite a fair bit, actually. But like, it seems to be a new, really cool phenomenon that we're seeing in defense as well. That I'm super here for.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dimitros, thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. We will be cheering you on from the sidelines, and keep us posted on updates. We'll be here whenever you need to talk again.
Cool. Thanks for hosting us. Bye.
Have a good one, mate. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Quick word on our sponsor, SeaPoint, your startup's financial home. Get back control of your finances with SeaPoint, your business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting. Go to seapoint.co.
Let me tell you about 4S, the workspace to make your everyday extraordinary work from home at work. Private offices, whole floors, dedicated desks. 4 offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes. Also ACI.dev, the open source middleware to control, govern, and observe AI access to your tools and data. I've kind of hit the flow there. But
are you going to do all of them, or?
Yeah, I'll do Jack and Jill as well. Hell, don't miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want and search thousands of new jobs every hour to find job opportunities worth seeing.
Boom. That is the show. Episode 7 over and out. Thanks for joining.